Douluo, my martial spirit is a system. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 301 Knotting 4. Wow. A sharp cry pierced the sky and dispersed the surrounding clouds and mists. The two huge wings of the griffin waved up and down, raising its head suddenly. The eagle's eyes were extremely sharp, as if gazing at the freedom and fantasy in the distance. This is Jingai's traveling tool prepared for undead Douluo. It can be regarded as a soul beast in the Lost Grand Canyon, but the place where the griffin lives and inhabits is on the high mountain in the realm of elves. Even you can't defeat it, because they are not solitary soul beasts, or have evolved to live in groups. This huge griffin is a 10,000-year spirit beast, and according to Jingai's introduction, the king of the griffin has a level of 10 years, but Jingai only uses the title of little baby to call the griffin king. It can be seen that the time for intensive work may not be short. Master Greedy, this is a travel tool prepared for you. The speed of the griffin is so fast that the time for turning back can be greatly shortened. Jingai stood next to the griffin and introduced it. If you don't observe it carefully, you can really see it. It's not where Jingai's figure is. Well, Jingai, you are really taking advantage of me. Yes, yes. Immortal Douluo stared at the griffin with a thoughtful expression. Fei secretly had a bad feeling. Undying Douluo didn't want the seven of them to run to Knotting City alone. He and Guagua rode a griffin to watch them from the sky, right? Fei hurriedly walked over to caress the wings of the griffin, and at the same time, motioned for Ziyu and the others to come over quickly. Ziyu was a little at a loss, but seeing Fei doing this, she had no choice but to go over and stroke the griffin's feathers. But he had never stroked such a soft feather before coming out, and at the same time it felt so hard. Maybe if they encounter danger in the high altitude, their wings will become as hard as steel to separate the enemy from the invisible. Hey, we have never made a griffin like this before. A griffin as big as Elder Jingai must have been prepared for us, right? Isn't it? Isn't it? Jingai smiled slightly and said, of course, if the Lord wants to be clean, I can prepare a griffin for you and the Lord. That's unnecessary. Lanchan and I still like to have fun, so let's ride this griffin with Undead Teacher. Isn't that right, Undead Teacher? But if Undead Teacher you like to be clean, then we have no choice but to invite Jing the Elder is preparing a griffin for us. What do you think? Teacher Immortal? Fei laughed wildly in his heart. So how about the double insurance? The undead Douluo won't let them run to Knotting City, right? Not to mention the distance between the Lost Grand Canyon and Knotting City. How long they need to run, just the possible emergencies on the road and the time it takes, is a huge problem. Immortal Douluo and Guagua have already sat on the generous back of the griffin. It is worth mentioning that sitting on the back of the griffin needs to release its own soul power to stabilize its figure, because the feathers of the griffin is very smooth, so it needs its own soul power to maintain the stability of the body. Well, let's all come up. This time we have to go to Knotting City quickly and come back quickly, since you all want to practice in such a hurry. I shouldn't let you practice while wandering and playing. It seems that the most suitable thing is to practice assiduously. This. Fei stared at Undead Douluo in surprise, but the goal of being able to ride a griffin has been achieved, and the rest is not important. Anyway, he will come back to practice sooner or later. On the contrary, he will become stronger earlier. Is it not good? Griffins are very tall, and they have to rely on their soul power to jump up before they can fall to the top. Fei and the others can't fly. On the contrary, there are not many soul masters who can fly. It is possible to fly. If the rest of the soul masters want to fly, I'm afraid they can only cultivate to a very high level and then use their soul power to reduce their own weight to achieve a special effect of levitating into the air. It is also very difficult to control the direction of one's own floating. Fei was the first to land on the griffin. This level of jumping was nothing to Fei. The powerful body, soul power and special power were constantly transforming Fei's physique. The same Fei, their own physical fitness is already good. On the contrary, they are still very strong. As soon as he landed on the griffin's back, Fei's eyes lit up. Standing on it is really comfortable. The white feathers are much thicker than snow, and this kind of thickness will not be trampled on. So he sat down and stretched out his hand, touching the feathers is like touching catkins, and pinching them seems to melt and loosen and then recondense. One after another, Yi Lanshan and the others also jumped onto the griffin. Of course, Chaos and Villaraya are still sitting on Jifei's shoulders and the other is sitting on Yi Lanshan's shoulders. In this way, it's like Jifei and Yi Lanshan are both raising an elf. Chaos can still return to Jifei's body, and Jifei can also summon Chaos as a martial soul point. It's just that Chaos, who has obtained a body, is not very willing to go back. As for the reason, we don't know what to say, but there is nothing wrong with this, and Chaos gradually began to adapt to speaking. It's worth mentioning that Kikumi hasn't made much noise since last night, which surprised Jifei. Is this Kikumi so stable? Even if her grandson died, would she still be able to maintain such a calm attitude? This is too amazing. And there is also a sense of deja vu that all elves are so cold-blooded. Point at the same time, Jifei was afraid that Kikumi was afraid of them being here. If Kikumi would suddenly attack after they left, Yi Lanshan and Jifei sat at the back. If they sit in the front, they need strong winds. If they sit in the middle together, they will not be able to see the beautiful scenery below, so the open back is the most suitable place. And Ziyu and the others seemed to be a little afraid of high altitudes, so they all chose to sit together, so that they could take care of each other. Jifei and the others are on their side. Looking at it this way, Jifei's side is actually the most lively. There are 5 people in total. Jinyi hovered in the air and looked at Jifei and the others. Then I wish you all a pleasant journey, and I will set up a banquet in the Mizzen Grand Canyon and wait for your return. Immortal Douluo turned around and said, don't put it too early. It will be cold after 2 or 3 days from this trip, and this time there must be meat, right? Yes, there will definitely be this. Jingai said hastily. Elder Jingai, be careful with Kikumi. End of this chapter. Chapter 302 Arriving in Notting City. 1. Jifei reminded Jingai, because Kikumi was too stable. According to a person, the normal reaction of a caring guy would never be as indifferent as Kikumi. Point looking back on that day, the scene where Kikumi walked towards the outside of the elven temple with the body of her dead grandson Kurosa in her arms, the feeling was not simple. The truth of the past is that the person who knows how to suppress the most is the most terrifying. When Jinyi heard Jifei's warning, he just smiled and bowed to express his gratitude. I will definitely keep the words of the palace master in mind. Jifei made a silent gesture, although it seems that there are people of the first line here, but who knows if there will be Kikumi's spies behind the scenes? Under the control of the croaking, the giant griffin jumped up towards the sky, and the roar turned into sound waves and directly dispersed the clouds and mists accumulated in the sky. But in the blink of an eye, Jifei and the others were already in the sky. Jifei turned his face to the side and looked at the clouds that were constantly leaping below, and suddenly realized that there was no wind blowing over him. According to the normal situation, at such a high altitude, people will first feel a special dull feeling. The shape is definitely extremely unstable, right? Guagua seemed to see Jifei's doubts. He leaned on Jifei's legs and said slowly, it's because of me that there will be an absolute defensive barrier within the range I'm in. It will block any and all attacks, which I call absolute defense. Absolute defense? I didn't see that you still have such abilities, Quack. Doesn't absolute defense mean invincibility? No matter how powerful the opponent is, if he can't attack, then it's not an attack, right? Quack seemed to be smiling, and then said, the range is very small, only 100 meters. Beyond this 100 meters, it is not an absolute defense, and it consumes my physical strength. If it covers the entire griffin, it can be maintained. It will be 1 year. It will be over after a long time, and there is another disadvantage, that is, if I fall asleep, the barrier will disappear. Jifei really wanted to hear if this quack was speaking human language. Is this called a restriction? When you have the word invincible, everything will become no problem. This limitation seems to show how powerful the absolute barrier of Guagua is. How long will it take for us to arrive in Notting City? Also, did Teacher Undead tell you how to carry out the specific actions last night? Jifei thought that, if he was a time traveler, he would definitely have a few inexplicable gold fingers. These gold fingers would make these time travelers very powerful, but it also depends on the nurturing gold that is given to these time travelers. The finger is still the golden finger of direct giving. Yi Lanshan sat on the side talking with Weili Raya and Chaos, as if she was also cultivating a relationship point. According to the facts, it can be known that Yi Lanshan is a character who doesn't know how to talk to people, but she still had a good chat with Weili Raya and Chaos, and Ji-Fei listened so carefully, because it turned out that he was listening to Weili Raya talking about many interesting things that happened to her in the elves. Fortunately, Ji-Fei was not lonely with Quack here. If Ji-Fei were to join Yi Lanshan and the three of them, Ji-Fei would probably remain embarrassed the whole time. Ziyu and the others on the other side seem to be very afraid of high altitudes. Even if Yan possesses flying soul skills, he dare not easily poke his head to look at the passing scenery below the point. Only immortal Douluo was standing there looking up into the distance, wondering what he was thinking. Greedy Dad didn't say how to deal with this unseen traverser. Although we haven't seen it, his power has obviously been known to Greedy Dad. Judging from this situation, this is the first time in the past 1,000 years. A time traveler. I'm afraid it will take a long time before there is such a time traveler. Anyway, Hengdeo can solve it immediately. Ji-Fei shook his head helplessly. Quack, this guy's really not suitable for the word beautiful. Just from the fact that he and undead Douluo thought of fighting the traverser and then killing him, in addition to treacherous, Ji-Fei couldn't find any other words to describe the two of them. But Ji-Fei is also looking forward to seeing what kind of scene the traverser will look like. Could he know Tang San's identity? Since it is Notting City, he must know Tang San, right? Not necessarily. According to expectations, the traversers of Tang San's contemporaries would probably travel to novice villages like Holy Soul Village. Ji-Fei had also paid attention to it for a long time before. It seems that other than him in Holy Soul Village, none of them showed that they were close to Tang San. On the contrary, they thought they were blacksmith's sons and disdained them. Guagua let out a yawn. It's really true that the sleepiness and autumn fatigue are real. I really want to sleep. Maybe I can reach that Notting City after sleeping. Yes, Xiaofei, what is Notting City like? A place. Is there any interesting place or something delicious? You must take me around, he said, wringing his fingers, as if counting the time or something. Then he said with a discouraged face, I don't know how long I haven't been to a human town. Although I can see it, it's better not to see it. The more I look at it, the more my heart beats, and I can't act if my heart beats. Looking at Guagua's buttermelon face, Ji-Fei could tell that he was severely tortured in the Lost Canyon. I've only been to Notting City once, and that time I just entered a college and stayed for a day before leaving. But the street view and the like are not bad, and the food may not be as delicious as mine. Ji-Fei recalled that when he went to Notting City, he went with Tang Heo. Because it was winter, the people on the street were not very deserted. Even a nose as sharp as Ji-Fei could smell food and the like less than. That's it. Guagua seemed to lose interest at all when he heard it and looked like he wanted to doze off. This is not possible. If Guagua falls asleep, the invisible barrier against the wind will disappear. It is precisely because of this barrier that Ji-Fei is not afraid of such a high altitude. If the barrier is gone, Ji-Fei will be the first to go, hugging Yi Lanshan for stability. Yes, of course there are many delicious and interesting things in Notting City, but I didn't pay much attention to it when I went there last time, and now is the season when everything is active in spring, and there must be more food and novelties for sale outside. That's it, so croak. Cheer up and let's go to Notting City in one fell swoop. End of this chapter. Chapter 303, arriving in Notting City. 2. Of course, Ji-Fei felt a little guilty when he said this, but there was no other way to do it. After all, he had only been to Notting City once, but no matter what novelty and delicious food in the city, he thought not less, right? Even if there are not as many as Guagua expected, it can be explained that this is just a small city, and I will take you to more powerful cities to taste those delicious food later. If you calculate the time, it will take at least 10 days to travel from the Lost Grand Canyon to Notting City, if you rely on horse-drawn carriages and other tools to get there. This still excludes the rest time in the middle, and you must be a coachman. You can only move forward without rest. But with this griffin, it will shorten a lot of time. Fei looked back at the Mizzen Grand Canyon, which was completely shrouded in mist, and the surrounding ground was set off to a very high sky. From this point of view, he was already out of the range of the Mizzen Grand Canyon. The clear environment below does not have any dark clouds to block the view of the small villages on the ground, and there is a medium-sized city that is neither too big nor too small on the route of the griffin, and according to Guagua, it is the Fog City, yes, and the city closest to the Mizzen Grand Canyon. Fish and dragons mixed with soul masters were not controlled at all. In the eyes of the soul masters, the misty Grand Canyon itself is a forbidden place, and the existence is synonymous with danger. Once you step into the misty Grand Canyon, you have already decided the fact that death will come, but it is undeniable that within the misty Grand Canyon the natural materials, earth treasures, soul beasts and all kinds of rich treasures make everyone flock to them, and the existence of watching has the function of trading treasures, and it is precisely because of this that almost every day there are soul masters in watching and the matter of fighting between people. The noble battle soul masters became worthless in the Fog City, and the lives discarded at war were as worthless as the value of copper soul coins. This place is different from the concept of supremacy of war soul masters in other places. Here power represents everything, and the measure of life is replaced by treasures and gold soul coins. Fog City is Greedy Dad's favorite place to go. Searching for treasures and the like is Greedy Dad's interest, and a little bit of camouflage. In Fog City, there is no one who is Greedy Dad's opponent, so whenever there appears in Fog City a young man wearing a black hat from outside must not provoke him, otherwise your treasures, your soul coins, and your life will be looted. Because if you go to the Foggy City, you will find that everyone is wearing black hats, wearing black cloaks and robes, and wearing strange shaped masks to hide their identities. Each of them has made almost complete preparations to avoid being robbed by others. After all, Greedy Dad has left an indelible shadow in their hearts. These are the original words of Guagua. Of course, if Fei is not wrong, this is what Fei said. From this point, we can see what a vicious guy undead Douluo is in watching. Looking at the immortal Douluo standing there in front of him, Fei sighed in his heart. A strong person should have such a demeanor. You can see how tall and tall the undead Douluo is standing there. Presumably his eyes are also staring at him now. The whole sky, right. If there is a gust of wind blowing on undead Douluo's body, it will definitely make a rustling sound, and this sound also has a special meaning. Immortal Douluo is mighty and domineering. Immortal Douluo is number one in the world. What can undead Douluo do? Undead Douluo say Gayo. After calming down his excitement, Fei also started to practice meditation. Although he always practiced late and was very tired during this period, Fei would never forget to get familiar with his own level point. It's just that, as undead Douluo said, Fei showed signs of breakthrough after only a few days, which is not a good omen. The level of soul power does not represent the strength of a soul master, but the current Fei is not very used to the power of a soul master. After all, it has only been a year since he became a soul master, and even the soul master practice is the foundation of meditation. Flying feels a bit ethereal. The mission Immortal Douluo gave to Fei and his group was not to continue to improve their soul master level, but to consolidate their cultivation, so that their combat power was truly worthy of their current level point. As far as Fei is concerned, the current Fei has a soul power of level 33, and is only 6 years old. Of course, this is the age of the body, and thinking is of course not counted. Having the soul power of a soul master of level 33 at such an age is in itself right a kind of oppression of the body. Sometimes undead Douluo jokingly said that I'm afraid that you will be responsible if you don't grow up in the future. Don't feel that what undead Douluo said is a joke. This is something that may really happen. Quack, can I ask you some knowledge about soul master cultivation? You also know that I'm different from other people. I have been a soul master for a short time and I have never studied soul master knowledge carefully since I was a child. For things like meditation, yes, and I don't understand the condensed cultivation base that teacher undead said, so why don't you give me a little trouble now? Guagua looked at Xiao and the others, and suddenly found that they were all lying on the back of the griffin one by one, and they were all asleep. Fortunately, he didn't stun the griffin, otherwise it would be a big embarrassment. Yi Lanshan was lying on the ground holding Villyria Chaos in her arms and fell asleep. Ji Fei also realized this. It seems that everyone didn't sleep well last night. Thinking about it, it was also the tiredness of a sleepless night and the warm feeling now. No matter who wants to have a good sleep, Ji Fei wasn't very sleepy, and for the sake of everyone sleeping well, he absolutely couldn't let Guagua sleep, so let him teach him the knowledge of Soul Master cultivation. Guagua looked like he was unlovable, but he still said to Ji Fei, "Well, let me tell you what I don't understand. Although I can't say that I can understand the cultivation process of a Soul Master from the beginning to the peak, I'm still a veteran now. I will tell you everything I don't understand today." Of course Ji Fei was very happy, but the mindless meditation all day made him very worried. First of all, what is the concept of meditation? For a Soul Master, what does it mean to enter the state of meditation? Is it similar to the feeling of being buoyant? This is the first thing Ji Fei needs to solve. The way he learned to meditate as a Soul Master is to close his eyes and feel and capture the direction of movement of his own soul power. This seems to be a simple process, but it is really difficult to do it in practice. It is very difficult to capture the flowing soul power. For example, if you want to mobilize the soul power, to capture the soul power, are you capturing the soul power running ahead, or the soul power you use? Well, to put it simply, full of soul power. End of this chapter. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 304, Arriving in Notting City. 3. Notting City is a border city belonging to the Heaven Dao Empire. Although it is not an important place of the Heaven Dao Empire, it is also very prosperous because it is close to the border. Many businessmen will choose this place as a city with the Star Luo Empire and other regions. A place for people to communicate and conduct some trade, such as the precious soul beast leather or the sale of natural materials and earth treasures. After traveling for 3 days, Ji Fei and his group finally arrived at the border of the Heaven Dao Empire. They should have arrived a long time ago, but they were delayed for almost half a day due to undead Douluo, but overall it was still very fast go well. The griffins were suspended above 10,000 feet in the sky, waiting for Ji Fei and the others to return, and then he did the call again. Ji Fei and his group chose to land on a mountain range near Notting City. This is not the mountain range that stretches over the Holy Soul Village. Ji Fei dares to confirm this. The bare trees are gradually sprouting young leaves, and the vigorous vitality is gradually rising. The surrounding area is deserted, but it is vaguely you can see a straight road leading to Notting City. Ji Fei took a deep breath. Although these 3 days passed by in a flash, it was really difficult. In the past 3 days, he has been tirelessly asking Guagua for the knowledge of Soul Master cultivation and all kinds of things he doesn't understand. Fei also felt that his cultivation had become more solid, and the strength of the Soul Master at level 33 had also become more solid, which was good news. Finally there is a real feeling of stepping on the ground. Ziyu stretched her waist and said in admiration, "Zio Fei, hurry up, where are there restaurants, bars, etc. I want to eat." These 3 days they have spent on the griffin, and they only ate such a meal, and that meal was brought back by the undead Douluo when he went to the griffin to do business. It was cold, and it didn't die. Douluo also said with a smile, "Children, are you full? Shouldn't we count the money for the meal?" Helpless, Ziyu gave undead Douluo a golden soul coin, which was to settle the money for several buns for Ji Fei and the others. This is the most expensive bun in history, worth 1 golden soul coin. Ji Fei waited and watched. According to what he just saw, you can reach Notting City by walking south from this road. The reason why he chose to land here is because the griffin itself is a 10,000-year soul beast. Just to cause an uproar, it may also attract the prying eyes of some soul masters. After all, 10,000-year soul beasts are rare, and griffins are even rarer. Going south, we will reach Notting City in about 10 minutes. Ji Fei pointed to Fang Fang and said, Yan's first gesture was to rush forward. No, there was even a possibility that he would use the Soul Skill Lord's wings to fly directly towards Notting City. But just as Yan took a step, he was dragged back by undead Douluo Point at the same time. He stretched out his hand and took it towards the air. A burlap bag appeared in undead Douluo's hands. Ji-Fei remembered clearly that this was the bag that contained the steamed stuffed bun before. No, it was another bag. That was after Ji-Fei and the others advanced on the back of the griffin for 2 days. Immortal Douluo suddenly ordered them to wait for him in the sky for a long time, and then told Quack to watch this place, and disappeared for no reason, and then he would not die. Douluo said it was a long time, but it really was a long time. He came back when the sun was setting, and when he came back, he was carrying 2 sacks, one of which was filled with food, and the other was thrown into the air by undead Douluo at will. Then it disappeared. At that time, Ji-Fei was still very surprised. The original complete sack suddenly disappeared. Could it be a storage type soul guide? Wear this when you enter Notting City. A special human skin mask. Immortal Douluo simply took out a few special human skin masks from the burlap bag. It is said that this kind of human skin masks are really strange, as thin as a cicada's wings, and they are not human skin color at all. It is like a piece of paper, and it feels cold and fit when held in the hand. Immortal Douluo thoughtfully took out a separate female human skin mask. At least it would not cause Yi Lanshan and the 3 of them to wear male human skin masks. But thinking about such a scene is really exciting. Question mark? Ji-Fei held his own human skin mask, and there was nothing special about it when he held it in his hand. His facial features were the ordinary ones that you couldn't find in the crowd, no matter how hard you looked. Every one of you little dolls has a very special temperament, especially the 3 of you dolls who are so good looking. Wouldn't it shock everyone when you entered the city? Put on this human leather mask to give you all the light. I will cover the old man, and then the men will put on the bamboo hats for the old man and use the magic of shaping. Good. Guagua stood in front of Ji-Fei and the others bouncing around while laughing. Well, the 3 of you are fairly normal in size, after all, depending on your age. So Ji-Fei, Yi Lanshan, Su Jiangxing, and Huo Raoul need to actually increase your height, and you should be as tall as Ziyu and the others. Okay. Shaping magic? Ji-Fei repeatedly confirmed that he was sure he had heard correctly, and that Guagua's serious expression didn't look like he was joking. Can you increase your height? Ji-Fei asked. Guagua nodded. Temporary. After all, you are using it for the first time. Let's take a 7-day package now. A 7-day heightening journey. Be excited about my powerful ability. As soon as the voice of croaking fell, Ji-Fei saw a blurry blue light floating towards them from Ji-Fei's line of sight. And then there was a special cold feeling when it entered the body, and the body unexpectedly get a little heavy. Looking at Yi Lanshan at the side, she has grown to about 1.5 meters 6 impressively, and she has reached the figure that should be possessed by more than 10 years old. The overall clothes have also grown accordingly. From the outside, the temperament of the whole body is completely perfect. The feeling of crushing the gathering of all the people present. Hey, I was dumbfounded. Yi Lanshan raised her hand and patted Ji-Fei's shoulder angrily. It was only now that Ji-Fei came back to her senses, a little embarrassed that she was just dumbfounded like this. Fortunately, others tried. After trying the novel human skin mask, Ji-Fei felt that he was about to be ridiculed by others again. You are so good looking. If I don't stare blankly, I will not be a normal man. While talking, Ji-Fei condensed his soul power into the mirror to see what he had become by relying on the shaping magic. End of this chapter. Chapter 305. Arriving in Notting City. 4. Ji-Fei's height has increased by at least 20 centimeters, and special changes have taken place on the outside. His long lavender hair has become a bit dark and white, and his fair face is really pure and flawless. The chiseled facial features together exude a special temperament. Ji-Fei didn't think about anything else. Just like what undead Douluo said, if they didn't wear human skin masks, the whole city would be a sensation if they entered Notting City. After all, each of them looked very different. It's amazing. Looking at the thin human skin mask in his hand, Ji-Fei put it on his face at random. This human skin mask does not need to be fitted deliberately, but it just seems to have a special vitality when it is placed on the face. It automatically finds the position of the facial features and then completely integrates with the facial features. From the outside, it is impossible to tell that this is a human skin mask. It is not known who made such amazing camouflage props. Feeling the coldness on his face, Fei waved his hand, and the reflective mirror condensed by the soul power appeared again to observe the appearance of his human skin mask. Ordinary, very ordinary face, an extremely ordinary face that is not much different from others. The dark yellow skin shows a slightly tired feeling, and the slightly sunken facial features erase most of the temperament. The original if Fei had been a feather floating in the sky, he would now be a catkin on the ground, the kind of catkin that had been trampled on. And look at Yi Lanshan at the side. After Yi Lanshan put on the human skin mask, her face was so ordinary that it couldn't be more ordinary. If it became more ordinary, it would undoubtedly become an ugly face, but even in this way, Yi Lanshan's own temperament seemed to be, can't hide it all. This human leather mask was made by a friend of the old man. He left it with a friend of his. I don't have to return it. If I take it, then these human leather masks will be given to you. If you have trouble moving, just put on this human skin mask. Undead Douluo waved, his whole person's image instantly changed. The original heroic became an old man, and the original handsome man was replaced by horizontal wrinkles. Originally he was 30 years old, but now he instantly became at the age of 40. Or, the blood red and white eyes have become the same as normal people's black and white eyes. And now there is one more guy in the team of 8 people on this trip. That's right. Quack has turned into a person directly, and he is about the same age as Fei and the others. His azure blue hair and blue silk clothes have added a special temperament to him, and he has a handsome face. After Fei and the others put on human skin masks, they were particularly conspicuous. After all, I have endured the flaws of my appearance for you. Do you think I'm strong? Of course, transformation is an extremely simple ability for us, but the original body is still comfortable on weekdays, so that's all it takes to show people this face. It turned out to be a transformed soul beast. If Fei and Yi Lanshan remained calm, Ziyu and the others would have exclaimed in surprise. They didn't expect that Quack was the kind of soul beast that could transform into a human being. A 10,000 year level soul beast, but no matter how you look at it, no one who seeks death dares to attack Guagua. After all, the undead Douluo next to him uses terrifying methods wave after wave. It is also very unique. Fei and his party, who were originally glamorous, have become that kind of ordinary people one by one, after going through disguises. Of course, the special temperament on their bodies cannot be eliminated. After all, temperament is not something that can be controlled by appearance. Although they were surprised, their stomachs were urging them to quickly find food to make up for their wounded hearts. So under Fei's guidance, a group of 9 of them headed towards Notting City. It is worth mentioning that both Chaos and Velia have their own places. Chaos returned to Fei's body, while when Illyria was put away by Yi Lanshan. It seemed that the principle was the same as Chaos, where Illyria could be summoned by Yi Lanshan anytime and anywhere. After about 10 minutes, Fei and his group finally saw the thick walls of Notting City standing in the distance. The open city gate revealed a simple texture, and many people entered and exited the city gate one after another. I can't see that such a remote city has such a thick wall, and you can see that there are guarding soul masters that are not found in ordinary cities. Ziyu seems to have a good understanding of the layout of the major cities and the like, giving Notting City is definitely an extraordinary place. Zhu Jiangxing on the side frowned. This seems to be the border line, right? So it's normal to have such a thick city wall. On the contrary, it can also show that the Heaven Dao Empire attaches great importance to this Notting City. Yes, although the current situation on the mainland seems to be peaceful, it is definitely undercurrents. Although our spirit all has fallen out of it, it feels like this peaceful situation cannot be maintained for long. After putting on the human skin mask, Hulina also turned into an extremely ordinary face, as well as Huorao, but the female human skin mask is still more beautiful, no matter how you look at it. Fei feels that there are so many doorways. The structure of the mainland needs to be changed. It should be like undead Douluo to look forward to more, but undead Douluo should be considered to be alive for a long time. Guagua was walking ahead, and at the same time he was chatting with Undead Douluo. It seemed that the two were talking about something. Suddenly, Undead Douluo turned his head and looked at Ziyu. Ziyu, Notting City also has a branch hall of your spirit hall, right? Yes, almost every city will have a branch hall of our spirit hall, which is set up for the convenience of awakening the spirits of the children in those villages. Our spirit hall is not for profit, so let me tell you, teacher Immortal. But there is no good to gain, Ziyu said cautiously. Immortal Douluo said with a stern face, is this old man just greedy for money in your eyes? Your spirit hall will record the awakened martial soul and initial soul power level of all soul masters, right? Ziyu nodded. This is natural. After all, registered soul masters will receive monthly payment. Although the sum of money is funded by the empire, the distribution is based on the records of our Wuhan temple as a subsidy for soul masters. Immortal teacher, you won't be interested in these subsidies, will you? This must never happen. Fei couldn't help laughing out loud. It seemed that Ziyu's habit of Undead Douluo had reached the point where she couldn't avoid it. Brother Ziyu, have you forgotten what our purpose of coming here is? Fei said to Ziyu playfully. End of this chapter. Chapter 306, Arriving in Notting City. 5. Is the purpose of our coming here? Of course, we are here to kill the time traveler, that the teacher said. Although I still don't understand what the time traveler means. It is probably that they will cause a lot of unnecessary troubles if they are alive, so they must die. The Undead Douluo who was walking in front came back, smiled gratifiedly, and said to Fei and the others together, there are not many traverses. There will be one in nearly 1,000 years, but often their kind travels. If they are alive, they will affect the transformation of the mainland for tens of thousands of years, and they must die in order to protect order. So Ziyu, do you understand what the old man means now? Ziyu still looked like Monk Zhanga was puzzled, and asked tentatively, do you want me to borrow a sum of money from Wuhandian to hire killers to kill the traverses? That's not necessary. The Wuhandian here is divided. There may not be any masters in the palace, but it is still very simple to deal with a child who has just awakened his martial soul. If you don't worry about it, teacher Immortal, let me do it. Undead Douluo chuckled. Ziyu, do you really think of me as a person who wants to do everything with coins? What I mean is, can you order the Wuhan Hall in Notting City to branch hall? Ziyu suddenly realized, patted her forehead, and quickly apologized to Undead Douluo. It was me who was abrupt. It was me who was abrupt, and I was thinking a little too far. As for the teacher, you asked whether you can order the Wuhan of Notting City. Of course it is possible to divide the hall into a hall. We have identity tokens, and each of the three of us can order them. Immortal Douluo nodded. That's good. It seems that we don't need to spend money to go to restaurants to eat. Let's go directly to the branch hall of Wuhan Temple in Notting City. Undead Douluo walked forward under the astonished expressions of everyone, and the strangest thing was that Undead Douluo seemed to know where the branch of the Wuhan Temple in Notting City was. Lead the way. Fei glanced at Yi Lanshan and said with a sneaky smile, go to the branch hall of the Wuhan Temple in Notting City. Maybe we can see that poisonous milk again. Su Yunteo? Yi Lanshan's expression also recalled the things recorded in Fei's memory. Obviously Su Yunteo was a special guy in Fei's memory. Fei also nodded and said with a smile, I think we can suggest to Brother Ziyu that in the future, Su Yunteo will go to various villages to awaken the martial soul for the children. So maybe the whole continent may become a strong one. The heaven of the dead. That's just a special case. Regarding Tang San, don't you also wonder why Undying Douluo didn't kill him? When asked by Yi Lanshan, Fei also nodded. He really cared about this question. Yi Lanshan approached Fei and explained to Fei in a low voice, do you still remember what Teacher Immortal said, that he can perceive the abilities of all the life forms in the whole continent? This time, Yi Lanshan didn't use sound transmission to tell Fei such confidential things. But looking at Yi Lanshan and Fei's hand that was close to him, he was a little moved. Considering that he planned to do this anyway, Fei directly grabbed Yi Lanshan's hand and held it. Well, it feels safe to whisper like this. Well, you can talk now, Lanshan. Yi Lanshan tilted her head slightly. Even though she was wearing a human skin mask, the agility that belonged to her would never be eliminated. It's rare for you to be so proactive. I thought you had become like a fool. Holding Yi Lanshan's hand, Ji-Fei could also feel a special sense of peace of mind, and all the messy things in his mind seemed to disappear without a trace point. No matter whether I'm a time traveler or I have already lived in this world, I may have known Yi Lanshan before, but because I forgot about some things, now I hold these hands again, and I will never let go. Forever. Absolutely forever. Okay, I will take the initiative in the future, Yi Lanshan said in a low voice. In short, Tang San also belonged to this continent before. He didn't come from another world, he just died from an era when the Douluo Continent existed. He was born again in this era's continent with his memories. Yi Lanshan continued without waiting for Ji-Fei to express her surprise and doubts. Remember that Tang San in your mind is from a place of Tang Sect? Bashu Tang Sect. This should be an ancient martial arts era experienced on the mainland. There are various sects with special skills and hidden weapons. Maybe you can ask about it. Guagua or undead Douluo will know and use it. No, not maybe, but definitely. Of course undying Douluo may be sleeping, but Guagua should know. It is precisely because Tang San is just a guy with past life memories, and not a time traveler. Teacher Immortal will not kill him. Of course, Teacher Immortal knows his past and present lives, and even knows that he will become a god in the future. Don't be surprised, Immortal Douluo knows a lot. This is nothing, so Immortal Douluo won't attack Tang San, and of course it won't help anything. Ji-Fei couldn't bear the doubt in his heart, so he asked Yi Lanshan, according to this meaning, can I say that gods are nothing in the eyes of Teacher Undead? Yi Lanshan replied, didn't Guagua tell you before? Gods and the like are nothing to the immortal Douluo and Guagua who are already immortal, and gods are just a group of puppets, don't they? Don't you feel that the living conditions of undead Douluo and Guagua are very good? Ji-Fei thinks back, and it seems that it really is true. Although Guagua can't go out of the Lost Grand Canyon, he is free and doesn't need to worry about anything. Even if he proves to everyone that he is a soul beast, no one dares to give birth to him. He is powerful. His strength is his portrayal point. Furthermore, immortal Douluo, do as he pleases, loved such a person, has such a daughter, although he hasn't seen him for a long time, but the sustenance is there. You fought for these things, my love. Ah. Lanshan, what did you just say? I'm sorry I didn't hear you clearly, can you say it again? Seeing Yi Lanshan's brilliant eyes staring at him, Ji-Fei was a little puzzled. He was thinking about something just now, and didn't hear what Yi Lanshan said. It's nothing, I just feel at ease with you by my side. It's been a long time since I felt this kind of feeling. Ji-Fei patted Yi Lanshan's hand. The soft and boneless feeling makes people not want to let go, just want to hold these hands forever, even sit and watch the sea change. You and I hold hands will never change kind. I will do it in the future. Of course. First of all, I want to become stronger, and you too, so that we can live longer. When we are old, we will return to the Lost Track Grand Canyon, and live together with the teacher, who is not dead. PFFT, you're not afraid of being told to cook by undead teacher and quack at an old age. End of this chapter. Chapter 307 Arriving in Notting City. 6. Talking with Yi Lanshan will speed up the flow of time, no matter what time it is, so Ji-Fei is going to spend his whole life talking with Yi Lanshan, or when he grows old, Ji-Fei will stand on the top of the mountain in the misty canyon, looking at the fog in the mist, with a fluttering strand of white hair, looking back on the past, whispering a few words, telling the story of him and Yi Lanshan, from the very early past to the long, long future. After entering Notting City, I don't know whether it is the effect of the human skin mask to isolate the crowd, or because of other reasons. Even if Ji-Fei and the others huddled together, they did not cause other people to stop and watch. The effect that undead Douluo wants to see. The branch hall of the Wuhan Temple in Notting City is quite conspicuous. It is worthy of being the most transcendent on the mainland. The huge dome stands in the residential area around Notting City, and the overall area has reached hundreds of square meters. The height is more than 20 meters, and there is no iconic flag here, but a huge stone hanging from the gate, with a sword carved on it. That's the branch hall of the Wuhan Hall in Notting City. Judging from the situation, it is the lowest branch hall, that is, the elementary branch hall. Compared with the branch hall we used to have in Jewel City, the gap can be said it's heaven and earth. It seems that the spirit power level of the Hall Master here should not be high. ZU introduced to Fei and the others a branch hall of the Wuhan Hall of Notting City not far away. It doesn't matter whether you are powerful or not. I don't want them to take action to solve something. The simple old man just wants to have a meal. There are still guards, but they don't show traces of flowing soul power fluctuations, so they don't seem to be battle soul masters. Huo Rao said, looking at the two people standing at the door. Those two people are indeed guards. Soul masters are noble existences in such a remote urban area. How can they be allowed to guard the gate? Among the soul masters in Notting City, they would belittle such an industry virtually and regard it as an insult to them. Hulina explained, this is just the lowest branch hall. Even our spirit hall can't interfere with how much each empire attaches importance to, and besides, it's so remote, and in a borderline state. It's not as rich as Jia City relying on snow-capped mountains resource land, so it basically doesn't need to be paid much attention to. Everyone, please stay still. I don't know when a few of you came to Wuhandian together. Did you receive the subsidy? Fei and his group came to the door and originally wanted to go in directly. Fei thought that, since it is an organization of all soul masters, there should be no need for a few soul masters to enter and a notification, right? Unfortunately this is not the case. Fei and his party consisted of 9 people, men and women, so if they entered the Wuhan Hall together, even the guards would be able to see that this was absolutely abnormal, so they naturally needed to ask. ZU walked to the front and at the same time slid his fingertips, and he took out a golden token engraved with feathers and wings from Fei's perspective. You can see that the word 1 is engraved on this token. Give this token to your deacon and he will know it naturally. The guard took the token with some doubts, and then the 3 of us confirmed the number of people and then nodded. Please wait here for a while. After he finished speaking, he looked at his companion and got his approval. Go inside the hall. Zhu Jiangxing on the side was suspicious and randomly asked Yan beside him, Brother Yan, is your Wuhan Hall so troublesome? We have to notify when we enter the Wuhan Hall. Could it be that, if other people come to awaken Wuhan, or do serious soul masters need to be notified one by one? Yan scratched his head and said a little embarrassedly, I'm not very clear about the system of the lower level division of Jiangxing. Maybe it's because we have a large number of people and are afraid of making troubles, but it doesn't matter. After a while, the handle here will definitely come out to welcome us. What ZU just got is the proof of our golden generation and has the full power higher than most of the Hall Masters. Are you treating us as the troublemakers? It's really abrupt. Don't we feel a little sinister now? Zhu Jiangxing looked around at the others, and the only words that popped up in his mind were ordinary and extremely. What's so special about it? Yes, of course. Except for croaking, even undead Douluo became a little greasy when he turned 40 or years old. Fei looked around at the people walking on the street. He really hoped that he would meet Tang San, who was out. He hadn't seen the third son for a long time. Fei still missed him a little bit. Speaking of which, he had left so much for the third son. I don't know how the kid arranged the gold soul coins. Did he have a good meal? Did you follow his instructions not to buy quilts? Fei really didn't let go of Yi Lanshan's hand. Anyway, Fei figured it out, and Yi Lanshan must take the initiative, and take the initiative. Otherwise the two of them are silent types. How embarrassing it would be. I don't know how many adults are going to be far away to greet Heihan, and they are still looking at Heihan. After a while, an old voice suddenly came from inside the door. There were 3 people walking together, 2 men and 1 woman, and the guards followed behind. Fei could see clearly that among the 2 men and 1 woman, the one on the far right was Su Yuntao. He hadn't seen Su Yuntao's figure or condition in the past few months. The reason is that Su Yuntao has a body of strong muscles, and the whole body exudes surging strength, and a faint soul power turns into gauze and sticks to his body. The one in the middle is a kind old man, smiling apologetically. He is wearing a special white body robe, and the most conspicuous thing is the small badge hanging on his chest, with 3 crossed swords scattered on it. With silver light point, Fei learned from Ziyu and the others that this was a badge issued by the Wuhan temple to symbolize the level of a soul master, and that the old man's strength was at the level of a great soul master. On the other side of the old man is a woman. This woman gives people a bold and unrestrained feeling, different from Huorao's hotness. She has a carefree look, and her pretty face sets off her slender figure. I don't know how much of the smile on my face is true or not. I won't say much about being polite. Ziyu first raised her hand as a signal, and then turned her head to look at the group of them. Please also prepare 2 servings of food for each of the 9 of us. Prepare as soon as possible. The details will be discussed after we eat. The old man was taken aback, and slightly opened the slits of his eyes that were drowned by the smile, but then he nodded hastily. Yes, I will naturally follow my lord's orders. Yuntao still has Sissy. You two hurry up, and order the staff to go to the city for several adults buy food. Enough. Yes. Clear. End of this chapter. Chapter 308 Zaoming. 1. When Fei and his group stepped into the hall of the Wuhan Hall, they looked around and a majestic, and coercive atmosphere was continuously released from afar. The golden glass around them had a faint yellow color, even if there was no sunlight. It can also emit light by itself, and the towering dome opens a wide embrace to accommodate all soul masters. In the middle of the hall is an angel with open wings. Gold is its main color. The solemn face of this angel statue can't tell whether it is a man or a woman. When you look directly at it, it seems to have a feeling of cleansing the soul. It wasn't the first time Fei had seen such an angel statue. He had seen it once before in Wuhandian Academy Point at that time. In addition to the angel statue, there was also a special statue covered in purple, and according to Ziyu, the statue stood there for a long time, and no matter what method was used, it could not be moved. Even a powerhouse as strong as title Douluo couldn't destroy the statue, even if he used his soul skills, so it has been preserved. The old man in front is guiding the way forward. After he introduced himself, Fei also knew that this old man is the person in charge of the Wuhan temple in Notting City, Matthew Nuo. As he is approaching years old, he has the cultivation level of a great soul master. From this point, it can be seen that Notting City is really not valued very much. If you know that the deputy hall master in Geo City has the cultivation level of the Soul Emperor, and the missing main hall master is almost at the level of the Soul Saint, then it can be regarded as the important city of the Wuhan Hall. Matthew Nuo was also surprised while guiding Fei and his party. The token just now belonged to the golden generation, which is more noble than some high level hall masters. Why did such a noble soul master come to such a remote place? Where? I don't know. If you have anything to do when you come to this remote town. Matthew Nuo's kind smile made people less vigilant. This time, the one who walked in front became an undead Douluo. Although the human skin mask can change the appearance of all of them, the voice cannot be changed. I have some things to do. I wonder if there is a backup roster of soul masters who awakened their martial souls this year. Asked by undead Douluo, Matthew Nuo quickly replied, yes, these are necessary, but there are a lot of them. After all, there are a lot of children in the villages around Notting City, and there are children every year. All kinds of martial souls have awakened. I don't know if you are looking for this roster. Matthew Nuo saw a hint of impatience in undead Douluo's eyes, so he quickly shut up. At the same time, he seemed to feel that he saw a trace of terrifying indifference and coldness in undead Douluo's eyes, killing intent. You don't need to know this. As for the students in Notting College, you should have a backup here, right? Prepare them all and bring them. Don't play tricks. I don't like liars. Matthew Nuo repeatedly said yes. Of course I don't dare. Of course I don't dare. Please invite the VIP room here. Looking at Matthew Nuo Fei, who kept bowing his head and saying yes, he felt that immortal Douluo was too disrespectful to the old man. However, after comparing Guagua, immortal Douluo and Xiu Nuo, it seems that immortal Douluo is the oldest one, right? Then immortal Douluo should also take good care of children, right? The VIP room is indeed a VIP room. The leather sofa is placed in the middle, and the huge dining table on the side is at least 10 meters long. All the most valued branches of the Wuhan temple can have such a big talent. Everyone, please wait a moment. I will prepare the roster and send it over. The person in charge of monitoring Notting College will also be called. He is more useful than the roster. Matthew Nuo walked out like this, leaving only Fei and his party slumped on the sofa to rest. The actions of the past few days have made them feel tense, and sitting and lying down for a long time is harmful to the body. There is also a terrible pressure. When it is really time to rest, the whole body is relaxed, and the inexplicable sense of comfort is constantly spreading. Surveillance? Is there still such a thing as surveillance? It's just a college. Does it still need surveillance? Zhu Jiangxing expressed the doubts in Fei's heart. It seemed that he was also quite puzzled about this matter. Ziyu explained slowly from the side. Academies like this are not funded by the Spirit Hall, but by the empire they belong to, and our Spirit Hall is not responsible for all Soul Masters. In a disguised form, we only look for talented Soul Masters and recruit them to join the Spirit Hall. You may feel disdainful, right? It doesn't matter, we are already familiar with them anyway. Fei said, how can there be any contempt for this? After all, no one knows how to raise waste, and one should not waste good cultivation resources on those who have no talent. This approach is quite correct. Xiao Fei, it's really not easy for you to think like this. If other people heard this, they might have complained about our Spirit Hall 100 times in their hearts. But there is no way. Just like you said, yes, our Spirit Hall is not a charity hall, and our resources are all inclined to talented Soul Masters. Of course, if the kind of Soul Masters who are both talented and unwilling to join our Spirit Hall, relatively use sanctions are also necessary. Ziyu showed a strange smile. Suddenly, he felt that he was deliberately threatening Fei and the others by saying this. Don't think too much, I'm just talking about other people. I didn't say this to you. We are friends. Fei smiled slightly. Brother Ziyu, being able to say these things in front of us already shows your trust in us. But Brother Ziyu, although you are the golden generation of Wuhan Temple, you should not make some words too obvious after all. Walls have ears. Yes, that's what Xiao Fei reminded, but I just feel that it's okay to tell you about such a thing. By the way, when will those two guys who bought food come back? I'm about to starve to death. Yan collapsed on the sofa with a completely hopeless look, as if he had lost interest in everything. In the eyes, you can vaguely see that there are many delicacies spinning back and forth. Hulina also complained, that's right, so slow, so slow, so slow. Close your eyes, you can forget the feeling of hunger. Huo Rauxu covered his eyes and looked at the ceiling, lost in thought. Fei looked at the lazy group of guys and smiled helplessly. It seemed that he was thinking too much about some things. Aren't you hungry, Fei? Yi Lanshan asked. Fei turned to look at Yi Lanshan and said warmly, Lanshan, haven't you heard of a word? What word? It's beautiful and delicious. I won't be hungry just looking at you. End of this chapter. Chapter 309 Zaoming 2. The person that Matthew Nuo said was monitoring Notting College was a 15th level Soul Master, and his soul power level was not high, but he was obviously very powerful in the branch hall of the Wuhan Temple where there were only great Soul Masters at the highest level. That kind of. Matthew said very respectfully, everyone. He is the monitor who was assigned to monitor Notting College, and here is the roster of admissions to Notting College last year and this year, which records all the students who entered Notting College. Matthew Nuo put the roster in front of Undead Douluo. Undead Douluo nodded, and casually opened the first roster on it, just glanced at it lightly, before flipping through it. I don't know if Undying Douluo is not very interested, or he knows that there is nothing important about it as things. The monitor stood aside and waiting for Undead Douluo's inquiry. Immortal Douluo looked at it for a while, then temporarily put the roster aside, and looked up at the watcher. Fei also looked at the watcher. This watcher had an ordinary face, and he didn't even have the slightest feeling of a soul master. He seemed like an ordinary person who only awakened his martial soul. Yes, no wonder being able to spy on Notting College. What's your name? Undying Douluo seldom asks the other party's name first, and the usual opening is definitely to question, or to talk about coins and other things, these other things, that Undying Douluo values most. The monitor bowed and replied, Li Xiang. Immortal Douluo nodded. Tell me about the special things in Notting College that you discovered recently. You should know what the special things that the old man said are, right? Li Xiang nodded. I know. Of course I know this. Let's talk about it. Li Xiang tried his best to recall it, and it seemed that there were not many things that happened during this period, or they were all very ordinary or dull. Recently, Notting College has a few very special soul masters. One named Tang San has innate full soul power, but the martial soul is blue silver grass, and there is another one named Xiao Wu who is born with full soul power. Girl, the martial soul is a rabbit, and there is a special guy whose name seems to be Xiaoming. The martial soul is a golden snake, and the soul power is also innately full of soul power. He just came to Notting City yesterday, heading to Notting College today. Matthew Nuo on the side also said, that's right, this Xiaoming's martial soul is a special golden long snake, and his soul power is also innately full of soul power. He came here yesterday to be certified to receive a subsidy. I also asked him if he was interested in joining Wuhandian, but he declined politely. He said he would enter Notting College to study. As for Tang San and Xiao, I also have the impression that they were both certified soul masters last year. I'm a little genius. Although that Tang San spirit is blue silver grass, I also recruited it because of his innate full soul power, but he didn't agree. He is still a disciple of the master. And that Xiao Wu I want to recruit, she suddenly asked me if Tang San had joined, and I said Tang San refused, so Xiao Wu also refused. Li Xiang explained to the undead Douluo from the side, today is the first day of school for freshmen. Generally, soul masters who have awakened martial souls and have cultivation value will enter Notting College to study, so Xiaoming will definitely enroll today. Matthew Nuo's complexion was somewhat ugly. As a deacon of the Wuhan temple, he offered an olive branch, but was rejected by so many people. He once wondered if it was the decoration of their branch of the Wuhan temple. Not good, or does it not have that holy breath? That's why it was rejected by so many people. The traverser should be this Xiaoming. Fei thought for a while, but he didn't need to think about it. Maybe this guy knew what Tang San would experience, or what kind of existence he would become in the future, so he wanted to get close to Tang San. However, the timeline is still a bit off. He didn't enter school together with Tang San, and in Fei's memory, there is no one named Xiaoming in Shenghan village. Judging from this situation, he should be from another village. Immortal Douluo nodded. Okay, you two can go down now. There is no need for you here for the time being. Matthew Nuo and Li Xiang quickly backed out. In the room, only Fei and his group were left again. What bothered Jan and the others was that Su Yunteo and Sissy, who had gone out to buy food, hadn't come back yet. This made Yan, Hu Lina, Huorao and Zhu Jiang sing suddenly there is no spirit. Guagua looked at undead Douluo. Greedy dad, how do you deal with this Xiaoming? Look at the awakening scene written here. The role of the roster is not only to record some basic information such as the age of the spirit. If some special soul masters are awakened, the awakened personnel of the soul hall will record the strange phenomena that occurred when their spirits were awakened. The weird phenomenon is just a scene. Fei picked up the roster and looked at the page about Xiaoming. It was brand new, and he didn't even seem to be completely dry. It seemed to be the same as what Li Xiang and Matthew Nuo said. Ming came to Notting City only yesterday, and in the lower left column there are supplementary items, that is, the scenes when Li Xiang uses Wuhan added by the staff of Wuhandian. Bursts of brilliant golden light enveloped the whole body, with different degrees of golden scales appearing on the body. The protruding forehead seemed to have grown feet, and the whole person exuded a sharp aura, although he only had 10th level spirit power. But what erupted was actually much stronger than the aura of Deacon Matthew Nuo. Immortal Douluo smiled slightly. Is there another traverser who awakened the golden dragon Wuhan? It's really interesting. Why do I feel that many traversers will awaken such a golden dragon Wuhan if they become soul masters? Such a weak chicken Wuhan, it doesn't make any sense. Guagua lay there and said slowly, it can't be said that it is meaningless. The powerful coercion of the dragon martial soul is also there. Hey, what are you going to do, greedy dad? Look at this situation. The guy named Xiaoming hasn't had contact with many people yet. Let's go now without further ado, Mr. Undead. I'm afraid the current Notting College has already begun to divide classes and so on, so Zaoming may have already arrived at Notting College. Fei felt that it was better not to waste time here. Well, as Guagua said, if this Zaoming achieves his goal, it may change the direction of the original mainland, and the consequences are very important. It's okay after dinner, right? Yansheng raised his hand indifferently, his slightly rolled eyes were yearning for food, and he had lost all thoughts due to his hunger. Fei shook his head helplessly, and then suggested, let's buy some food, and eat as we walk. It's more important to get down to business. End of this chapter. Chapter 310 Zaoming 3. Fei's proposal was of course adopted. Under the leadership of Immortal Douluo, Fei and his group left the branch hall of Wuhan Hall and walked towards Notting College, and Undead Douluo was very purposeful, very scary. Fei only knew that a purposeful Undead Douluo was a terrifying existence. Mr. Immortal, if we just go to Notting College like this, do we have to ask everyone else one by one if they know a guy named Zaoming? We don't have his portrait, do we? Undead Douluo turned his head, smiled slightly, and then said lightly, you are closing your eyes now, and then opening them. Fei and the others didn't ask why, they just followed what Undead Douluo said. The moment Fei closed his eyes, he felt that it was not darkness in front of him, but a colorful portrait appeared in front of him. No, to be precise, it should be a photo of a child about 6 or 7 years old. The child in this image looks very ordinary, but the height is a bit special. Other than that, I really can't find another place that stands alone. Just like Fei and the others, after wearing the human skin mask, they are very the ordinary to the extreme kind. Fei and the others opened their eyes, and there was a little bit of strange brilliance in their eyes. This is Zaoming. In fact, there is no problem, if you remember it or not. You don't need to take action today. What? Fei and the others opened their mouths wide, not knowing what Undead Douluo meant. Of course, Yan and Hulina Huorao, who were eating food, were not so surprised. Undead Douluo said as he walked, if this Zaoming has already entered the school, the old man will consider using the method of exchange battles, using the privilege of the Wuhan Hall branch hall to send out freshman exchange matches, and then Guagua will control Notting College. A teacher asked him to suggest this Zaoming to join the battle, so that you can kill this Zaoming in one fell swoop in the exchange match. But now we really came at the right time. This Zaoming has not yet joined Nuading Academy. I can solve it by myself. Of course, you can choose to follow the old man to take a look, or find a place to wait for the old man. Fei and the others looked at each other. It turned out that Master Undead had come up with a plan early on, but now they obviously don't need to take action. So does this count as their trip in vain this time? It seems that it would be nice to be able to come out of the Lost Canyon, although I didn't stay in the Lost Canyon for long. Instead of being with Undead Douluo, they can wander around this Notting city by themselves. How could they lose such a good thing? As Undead Douluo said earlier, if he returns to the Lost Canyon this time, he doesn't know when he will come out, so it is necessary to prepare some things for daily use. After some discussion, Ziyu, Hulina, and Yan bought daily necessities for everyone, while Fei, Yilanshan, Huoro, and Zhujiangxing followed Undead Douluo and Guagua to see how to deal with the time traveler Zaoming point. It turned out that Huoro also wanted to follow Ziyu and the others, but because Zhujiangxing said that he wanted to follow Undead Douluo to see and solve Zaoming, Huoro didn't mention his intentions. That afternoon we will gather at the branch hall of the Wuhan temple, Immortal Douluo said. The three of Ziyu nodded. I know, Teacher Undead. As expected, it is the first day of school. There are really a lot of crowded people here, but most of them are selling things. There are really not that many students in Notting College. Soul Masters are not Chinese cabbage, and they are still this kind of. There are very few battle Soul Masters who can practice. Fei followed Undead Douluo and waited quietly. He really wanted to quickly see how Undead Douluo would deal with the so-called time traveler Zaoming. At the same time, Fei was also paying attention to see if Tang San could be seen around. Although Immortal Douluo said that he could not recognize Tang San, but after a basic look, there was no problem, right? No matter how bad it is, it's okay to just take a look at it. Although it can't be said that I miss it, at least I miss the old days a little bit. Undead Douluo did not choose to enter the interior of Notting College, but instead turned into a small road, a very secluded road. Fei found that this small road is definitely the necessary way to escape by stealing the door and picking the lock. It can't accommodate many people, and the width is only 5 or 6 meters, and it is nearly 100 meters away from the main road. Even if there is any movement on the wall, I'm afraid that it will not be heard by others. Mr. Immortal, what are we doing here? Is this the only way for Xiaoming to go to Notting College? Fei asked suspiciously. Undead Douluo shook his head. It's not his only path, but his death place. Get out of the way, all of you. According to Undead Douluo, Fei and Yi Lanshan stood at one end, Zhu Jiangxing and Huorao stood at the other end, and in the middle were Undying Douluo and Quack. Immortal Douluo didn't explain too much, because what needs to be explained has already been explained, and now he only needs to use a little special method to draw that Xiaoming here to be slaughtered. Immortal Douluo looked at the ground and slowly uttered a word, show. Suddenly, a complicated roulette appeared on the ground, similar to a huge magic circle, with many line segments and special characters outlined inside. After the roulette was built, it spun quickly, and it was filled with a special strength. The dazzling light was released in an instant, and Fei slightly raised his hand to block the strong impact of the light, and he could vaguely see that something inside the roulette fell to the ground. The light dissipated quickly, and Fei was somewhat surprised when he really saw the guy on the ground clearly. It was actually exactly the same as the Xiaoming that appeared in their minds. He was so ordinary that he couldn't see any special appearance. It seemed that he had gathered the advantages of all ordinary people. It was better than wearing human skin. The masked Fei and the others all look much more ordinary, and it's not easy to do this. Fei looked at the bewildered Xiaoming. He didn't seem to understand what was going on, but he was still very calm. If he was a normal person, he would definitely scream at this moment, but what he showed was very calm. From this it is not difficult to see that there is a soul from another world hidden in this small body. As for how old it is unknown. End of this chapter. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 311 Xiaoming 4. Xiaoming felt that he was very lucky. As an ordinary person yearning for time travel, he actually caught up with the trend of the times and traveled through, and what he traveled through was his favorite world of Douluo Continent, and the world he was most familiar with was Tang San. In the era, although he was not born in the same village as Tang San, he was also born in a village near Notting City Point. He has been waiting for his own awakening of the martial soul. He firmly believes that the welfare of the traverser is stronger than that of Tang San. Until he awakens the martial soul at the age of 6, he is really exactly as expected. He awakened the Golden Dragon King martial soul, a dragon attribute martial soul, and it is the Golden Dragon King martial soul that symbolizes absolute power. He was excited. He was extremely excited. So his original idea of following Tang San, he also disappeared completely. He wanted to kill Tang San and replace Tang San himself to become the real son of the plane. He also wanted to use the Wuhan Palace to achieve the goal of becoming a god. He has the Golden Dragon King Wuhan. He has such arrogant capital. He can do it. The so-called traverser is the existence that controls all opportunities. He wants to plunder everyone's resources and take all the childhood sweethearts of everyone into his harem. But Xiaoming so opened his eyes. He looked at the strange environment around him a little confused. He was clearly asking about Tang San's residence just now. Why did he come here all of a sudden? It was as if he felt a powerful force pulling him over. You are. After Xiaoming saw Fei and his party clearly, he asked a question, as if his soul was trembling. Fei took a closer look at this Xiaoming. TSK, it doesn't look like anything special. Maybe even a traveler with a golden finger is as fragile as a speck of dust in front of a real strong man. Ji-Fei didn't intend to talk to this Zaoming and simply leaned against the wall, quietly watching undead Douluo and Guagua's actions, while Yi Lanshan was obviously not interested in such so-called time travelers, so she stood by Ji-Fei. He closed his eyes slightly and fell into thinking. Huo Rao and Zhu Jiangxing looked at it curiously. This is some kind of time traveler, no different from normal people at all. Huo Rao stared at Zaoming and said, Mr. Undead, this is a time traveler you mentioned. It doesn't look like anything special. It looks so ugly, and its eyes seem to be very wretched. Zaoming was stunned suddenly. He looked at Huo Rao, and the corners of his mouth began to twitch crazily with the people around him. He said intermittently, You, how do you know that I'm a time traveler? You guys, what are you going to do? Let me tell you, I'm a future strong man with a golden dragon king martial soul. Guagua walked to Zaoming's side on his own and grabbed Zaoming's right hand. The moment Zaoming's right hand was grabbed by Guagua, there was a trace of golden light, and a curved dragon mark began to flicker non-stop. It was obviously the mark of Wuhan, belonging to Zaoming Jinlang Wanwu Soul's martial soul imprint. Guagua said with a playful smile, I've roughly killed hundreds, if not dozens of idiots like you. Travelers like you really think this continent is so simple. Golden Dragon King martial soul? Here, take a look now. Is there any more? The moment Zaoming's horrified eyes fell on his right hand, he suddenly found that the imprint of the Golden Dragon King Wuhan on his hand had disappeared, and he discovered through self-perception that his Wuhan had disappeared, and the 10th level soul power that was originally full of soul power also disappeared completely, and he became a strange work, a complete strange work. If he knew that everyone in Douluo Continent would have a martial soul, but now he no longer has a martial soul, and his proud Golden Dragon King martial soul just disappeared. Zaoming is a little crazy. He can't believe who these guys are. Why are they so scary? He has never heard that Wuhan can be erased. And is there such a number one person in Tang San's era? No one has ever told me about my identity as a time traveler. So how would they know? Guagua threw Zaoming to the wall and hit him on his back. He clapped his hands and said, the Golden Dragon King is amazing. It's just a bug. If it wasn't for Laotzu, I'd get used to it. They're kind of bed bugs. I hate the dragons the most. They don't taste good, and they are deadly. So, what pride do you have now? By the way, do you have a system? Don't all of you Travises have cheats or something? Quickly take them out. Let's open our eyes before we die. Ji-Fei looked at Guagua as a villain, which really fit his temperament. People say that the villain dies because of talking too much, but that can only show that the villain is not strong enough. You see, no one can beat him if you talk so much. Zaoming was completely messed up, and there was a puddle of water slowly flowing on the ground. Taking a closer look, this Zaoming was actually scared to pee by croaking. I don't have a system. I only have the Golden Dragon King martial soul. Only the Golden Dragon King martial soul. You, who are you guys? Guagua didn't even bother to answer Zaoming's question, but said to Undead Douluo very boringly, greedy dad isn't the first time traveler after 1,000 years too weak. Undead Douluo took a look at Zaoming, but there was nothing wrong with him. He raised his finger and snapped his fingers. Snapped. Boom. The moment the finger snapped, Zaoming's body turned into a cloud of blood mist and disappeared into the air. Is Zaoming dead? Dead? Ji-Fei asked. Undying Douluo said, the body is dead, but it is not dead yet. Just after the words were finished, Undead Douluo snapped his fingers again. Snapped. Suddenly, a white spirit body appeared on the spot. This is Zaoming's soul, the ethereal soul, and also the origin of a person. The death of the body represents death in a layer of meaning, but it is not the real death. Immortal Douluo looked at the white soul and said slowly, I'll give you a chance. You can answer whatever the old man asks. As long as you behave well, the old man can consider letting your soul return to your original world. Anything that dissatisfies the old man will be annihilated together with your soul, so that you will have no chance of reincarnation. Zaoming in soul form had a hideous expression on his face. He didn't feel anything just now, but when he came back to his senses, he had already turned into a cloud of blood mist. He didn't even know what happened just now. Even if he tries hard to recall, he just knows that the terrible existence in front of him snapped his fingers and he became what he is now, this extremely embarrassing death form. End of this chapter. Chapter 312 Zaoming. 5. Zaoming felt that he was very tragic. What kind of trouble was this? Is there such a terrifying existence on the mainland? Just took a look at himself and snapped his fingers, and he, the majestic time traveler, died. This is too tragic, right? Isn't the traverser as arrogant as others say? Is it different for me, the saddest kind? Zaoming, who was in the soul state, stared at undead Douluo, Guagua, and Fei. Even in the state of the soul body, Zaoming's trembling body could not be avoided, and his heart was filled with doubts. After all, is he a ghost, or is the other party a devil? Immortal Douluo looked at Zaoming and asked, have you ever told other people what you know about what happened in this world later? Zaoming shook his head again and again. No. Really? If you deceive the old man. Immortal Douluo stared at Zaoming with blood-red eyes, and at the same time, raised his fingers in a snapping gesture. I will die. Zaoming understood in his heart that the man in front of him is not a human being, he is a devil, a real killer of time travelers. No wonder even those so-called powerful time travelers have not returned to the original world. It seems that they were all killed by the Traverser killer. No, absolutely not. When I crossed in the posture of a baby. I didn't tell anyone about it until I awakened my martial soul. That means you told other people after awakening your martial soul? Undying Douluo asked. Zaoming hastily waved his hand to make corrections. No, absolutely not, and I haven't told other people after I awakened my martial soul. This is a lesson from heaven and earth. A lesson from the sun and the moon. TSK. Fei couldn't stop talking. This time traveler doesn't look like those described time traveler, does he? You should shout my life is up to me. Got, although, Guagua said that he was bigger than the sky or something. Then shout my life is up to me. Undead Douluo smiled slightly. He knew that Zaoming hadn't deceived him. If he had deceived him, Zaoming's soul would have turned into black ashes in an instant, and he didn't even need to make a move. This belonged to them special ability, the ability to sanction all those who do not meet their wishes. Undead Douluo continued to ask, you know the purpose of coming here, right? Have you had any contact with him? Zaoming started to mutter in his heart when he heard this. How does this guy know my purpose? Could it be that he is also a time traveler? Zaoming seemed to be muttering in his heart, but Fei and the others could hear it clearly, as if Zaoming had spoken out what was on his mind. Undead Douluo said, the soul body has no secrets that can be hidden. What you think in your heart will be expressed in words in an instant, so you don't have to think carefully. The old man will not answer you. You also have no right to ask the old man any questions you have. You are redeeming your life by answering the old man's question now. Zaoming has completely lost the desire to play psychological warfare with undead Douluo, and he has many doubts in his heart. Obviously, the dream finally came true. After a time travel, I just awakened a golden dragon king martial spirit. I just wanted to kill Tang San himself to replace him. I didn't expect such a group of terrifying guys to be killed halfway. Didn't mention it either. I didn't get in touch with it. I was inquiring about Tang San's residence just now, and I just found out that he lived in Kish before you caught him here. Zaoming also gradually discovered that this place seems to be in an alley near Notting College. This alley is very secret, and now that he is a soul body, no one will find that he is dead. Passerby was also a fake Passerby who was fake and died without leaving any impression on anyone. Do you have any questions to ask him? Yi Lanshan turned her face to stare at Fei. Fei shook his head and said with a smile, it seems that there is nothing to ask. Should I tell him where he came from? I'm not interested in this, and this world is completely different from what they ended up with. Those gods and the like have all turned into flimsy paper, but Teacher Undead and Quack gave me a transcendent existence. Yi Lanshan pursed her lips into a smile, and then said to Fei, no world is as simple as you think. After all, there must be a few patron saints who abandon all beliefs and attachments to protect the stability of this world for most people order. Fei said with emotion, yes, every world is not simple. If you look at it with a pair of naked eyes, people are the smallest and most ignorant existences. They always think they can see through the things in front of them, and they think they have won this piece of the world, but in fact, it's just an ant in the eyes of others. No, it's not even floating dust. Ji-Fei rarely looked at Xiaoming's soul body and said calmly, "It seems that this traverser has no ability to shake the foundation." Yi Lanshan replied with interest, "Do you know how the 7 choices came from? Maybe it was made by undead teacher and Guagua." "It was made by Guagua. Teacher undead doesn't have such an interest, so you understand this, right?" Ji-Fei smiled slightly. "If it is said that the traverser has the golden finger, then the quack is the one that bestows the golden finger on others, and the undead teacher has improved to a higher level, which is completely incomparable. Instead, the undead teacher personally kills it. This Xiaoming is a kind of luck for Xiaoming." On the other hand, Immortal Douluo seemed to have asked a lot of questions, some of which were not, but most of them were related to the people Xiaoming had come into contact with. Suddenly, Undying Douluo seemed to have completely lost interest, waved his hands, and said, "Okay, you are worthless, you can die. Let your soul fly away. You lied to me." Xiaoming let out a howling scream, and the body of the fluttering soul directly ran towards the undead Douluo, as if he wanted to use his thin soul body to fight the undead Douluo to the death. Like, it really reflects the essence of the 4 words "I don't know how to live or die." Lie to you? What can I do if I lie to you? Can you kill me? You are worthless. Could it be that this old man collects you and sells you? Money? How many gold soul coins are you worth? How many copper soul coins? Is it enough for the old man's road money? Is it enough for the old man's tongue money? As soon as the words fell, undead Douluo raised his hand and snapped his fingers. With a click, the white soul of Xiaoming turned into a black flame and slowly disappeared into the air. The dead can't die anymore. End of this chapter. Chapter 313 Xiaoming 6. The way undead Douluo dealt with the traverser was too quick, and without any sense of disobedience. Ji-Fei didn't quite remember the feeling of Undying Douluo's attack. Probably the first time was when Undying Douluo led them to Jia City and fought with evil god Douluo. It ended for some reason. Immortal Douluo looked at Ji-Fei and the others and said in a very flat tone, "Okay, it's been resolved. The soul of this traverser has died." After saying that, Immortal Douluo walked out towards the other side of the alley. "If there is nothing wrong, we will wait for Ziyu and the others in the branch hall of the Wuhan Hall. Otherwise, you can also hang out, but remember not to say hello to people you know." True undead Douluo practice. Both Huo Rao and Zhu Jiangxing froze, and it was Ji-Fei who woke them up from their stupefied state in the end. Zhu Jiangxing wiped the sweat from his forehead and sighed. "Mr. Immortal is really scary. A fresh life can die within a few snaps of fingers." Huo Rao also sighed. Yes, I was looking forward to hearing what Teacher Immortal and Teacher Guagua said about how powerful the time traveler is, but looking at it now, it seems like a softie, right? This is because of the huge gap in strength. If we were to fight against him, we would have taken some risks. Zhu Jiangxing recalled when Mr. Guagua grabbed that Xiaoming just now. Xiaoming's body emanated the aura is very strong, just like Brother Ziyu and the others, but compared with Xiao Fei and 7th sister, it still seems to be far behind. Ji-Fei also made a comparison just now. He and Yi Lanshan are far superior to Xiaoming in terms of aura alone. In terms of the aura of the martial soul, Ji-Fei can be sure that the chaos martial soul doesn't even know how to surpass Xiaoming. How many times does that elf king martial soul, not to mention Ji-Fei's second martial soul, destroys the crown? Hey, what are we going to do next? Are we going to wait for Brother Ziyu and the others at the branch hall of the Wuhan Hall? Huo Rao asked. Obviously she didn't want to just go back like this, although Notting City is only a small city, but anyway, it is still a lively city. Ji-Fei looked at Yi Lanshan and said, "Lanshan, why don't we take a stroll?" Yi Lanshan nodded. "It's still early. If we gather in the evening according to Teacher Undead's advice, it would be too painful for us to wait now. Let's take a stroll." Huo Rao looked at Ji-Fei and Yi Lanshan and said, "Then Xiao Fei and Lanshan, we too won't disturb your world. Giant Crossing and I will also go shopping and see you at the Wuhan Hall in the evening." After speaking, Huorao took Zhu Jiangxing's hand and walked out of the alley, but the two of them walked on the other side of the alley, which seemed to be a street leading to the outside, and some cries could be faintly heard. So now there are only Jifei and Yi Lanshan left. Then where are we going? Yi Lanshan turned her face to look at Jifei expectantly. This? Jifei scratched his head. He had never wandered around in Notting City, and he didn't know any more interesting places. Let's find a place to eat. For example, a place with a relatively high location, where you can enjoy the scenery of Notting City while eating. How about it? Jifei didn't eat, and the reason was very simple. He didn't have time to eat. Although Soul Masters can eat for a while, it must be the best thing to enjoy delicious food at this time, right? And the most important point is that Jifei can't think of other places to go. Yi Lanshan nodded. Then let's find a place to eat first. After eating, do you want to visit Notting College? It's no problem to meet your younger brother. Jifei thought for a while. Can I enter? Notting College is only open to the students of the college, right? I'm afraid we can't get in like this. Yi Lanshan asked. What day is today? It's the day when Notting College recruits new students. Well, I understand. Just pretend to be a new student. Jifei showed an expression that I understood. Yi Lanshan shook her head. Look at what we are like now. If we say we are freshmen, who would believe it? Then what do you mean? As Yi Lanshan said, after wearing a human skin mask and being raised by Guagua in a special way, Jifei and Yi Lanshan don't look like they are 6 or 7 years old at all. If you want to say that you are a freshman, absolutely no one will believe it. If we just walk in like this, no one will stop us. After all, there are so many people. What do you think? Yi Lanshan smiled. It's just that Jifei shook his head, obviously not very interested in meeting Tang San and the like. Forget it. I'll accompany you. Meeting Tang San is not important. I will accompany you wherever you want to go today. Where are you going? Jifei took the initiative to hold Yi Lanshan's hand and walk towards the exit of the alley. Yi Lanshan said as she walked, originally I wanted to throw this troublesome question to you, but I didn't expect to be thrown back by you in a few words. Jifei said, what's the trouble? At worst, we just find a place to sit for a day and we both keep silent, but we can also cultivate that kind of invisible tacit understanding. What do you think? Yeah, you two have been talking for so long. What fun things are you talking about? Repeat it for me again. When Jifei and Yi Lanshan reached the entrance of the alley, Quack suddenly burst out, and it was so silent that it really shocked Jifei. Quack, why didn't you go back with Master Undead? Guagua shook his head and sighed. Oh, I don't want to go out and wait in a room once. I have nowhere to go by myself. So brother and sister, take me with you? Okay. Well, Yi Lanshan said, based on my subjective feelings, it's not good at all, but seeing how pitiful you are, it's not impossible to bring you along. Yi Lanshan's eyes naturally shifted to Jifei, and then said, but you still have to get Jifei's consent. Seeing the pitiful look of Guagua, those small eyes seemed to be about to shed tears, Jifei admitted that he really couldn't ruthlessly refuse. Well, the two-person world between himself and Yi Lanshan into a cluttered world. Okay, just let me say it first. Lanshan and I didn't find any place to play. If the two of us are really bored, maybe we will find a place to sit there until the afternoon and then meet other people. Be mentally prepared. Guagua said very gratefully, thank you brother and sister. Don't worry, even if you do weird things, I will pretend not to see, so please do what you want. End of this chapter. Chapter 314. Meet again. 1. Soul Masters all have a badge that symbolizes their level. Just like the previous Matthew Nuo, the badge he has symbolizes that his soul power is at the level of a great Soul Master. Not low but not high point, but Jifei did not, which is quite normal. Jifei has never been certified by Wu Hundian, and the previous admission certificates were forged by the Master, although he entered the Wu Hundian Academy to study in a daze. But it was also Tang Heo's plan. Speaking of Tang Heo, Jifei thought that Tang Heo would bring him here a year later, but thinking about whether Tang Heo can find himself is a problem, and what can he learn by staying with Tang Heo? Continue to strike iron. Bang, 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 bang. After the three of Ji-Fei and the others had finished their meal, it was almost noon. It wasn't that Ji-Fei and the others were eating slowly, it was just that they found a good place where they could observe the distance while eating environment, even across the height of the city wall. And Ji-Fei also bought a lot of ingredients in this restaurant and put them in the 7 emotions ring. The 7 emotions ring has a lot of special space, similar to the glacial terrain used for refrigeration and other storage environments. It's all complicated. Even if you put spirit beasts and the like in it, it's completely possible, and the space is extremely spacious. Unknowingly, Ji-Fei and the others actually came to a forge, that is, a blacksmith's shop. The huge jet black hammer sign is hanging, which is the best symbol of this world, but even if there is no signboard or the like standing outside, just listening to the continuous knocking sound and the continuous release of the rolling heat waves can be enough. It feels like a blacksmith's shop here. Seeing Ji-Fei stop, Yi Lanshan and Gua Gua also stopped and looked at the blacksmith shop Ji-Fei was looking at. Is there anything to forge? Quack asked. After thinking about it, Ji-Fei didn't seem to have anything to do. He just stood here and recalled his days in Holy Soul Village. That time was neither easy nor difficult. Overall, it was the most simple and unpretentious time. Yi Lanshan tugged at Ji-Fei and said softly, "It's okay to forge a few pots, what do you think?" Ji-Fei thought about it, not to mention that it really was such a truth. If you cook in the Lost Grand Canyon, you rely on the black lacquered pot of unknown material. The heat conductivity of that pot is really bad. The ordinary firewood flame can't make it conduct heat quickly unless you use it. The flame created by the soul power is different from the usual release of the flame. As long as the flame of soul power touches the pot, the soul power will start to disappear crazily. If it is not for Ji-Fei's own deep soul power, that pot alone might be able to absorb all of Ji-Fei's soul power. Well, it's true. We need to live in the Lost Canyon for a long time. I don't want to use that kind of pot that devours soul power to cook all the time. Ji-Fei had tacitly accepted that he was a cook. Of course, there was one more important point. If Ji-Fei didn't cook, other people's cooking would be difficult or impossible, and they would all be hungry. Then let's forge a few pots. Will we have more delicious food? Guagua looked yearning, as if he had already imagined how several pots would come together and feed in and out in the future. Ji-Fei and the others walked into the blacksmith's shop. When they climbed the steps and stood at the door, Ji-Fei felt a steady stream of heat waves hitting his face, and his whole body seemed to be washed by scalding heat. This feeling is a bit special. It seems to be a warm bath, but also a hot bath, which is not comfortable. The blacksmith's shop is indeed a blacksmith's shop, and there are countless utensils and weapons in it. Unlike the previous home in Holy Soul Village, there are no utensils used in busy farming, but kitchen utensils and weapons. Ji-Fei knew that this was Notting City after all, and if ordinary people wanted to use iron tools and the like, they could just look for blacksmiths in the nearby villages, and there was no need to travel so far to Notting City to buy the utensils they used. The huge forging platform not far away was burning with raging flames. This forging platform was at least several times larger than the one in Holy Soul Village, and it could accommodate many people. To forge together there are many busy people in the forge, and everyone is sweating profusely. Originally, such a scene would not appear in this mild season, but this is a blacksmith's shop. Do you guys need anything? Do you want to buy weapons and armor? Not long after, a muscular man with a strong body and dark muscles walked up to him. He looked like a hill, and the forging hammer in his hand seemed to be both were much longer than the previous Ji-Fei's arms. When he walked over, he asked Ji-Fei and the others with a smile on his face, "We want to buy some kitchen utensils. Do you have any good recommendations?" It was Ji-Fei who spoke. He looked around and saw that there were many pots and kitchen utensils hanging on the walls. This blacksmith recommends it well. At the same time, Ji-Fei took out a golden soul coin. The golden soul coin was shining brightly. It was a lot of money. Normal people would not be able to use that much coin for several months. The reflected golden light attracted other people's eyes, and they were surprised. Where did this character come from to buy kitchen utensils with gold soul coins? Is it to open a restaurant? If it is to open a restaurant, it seems to be completely sufficient. And when everyone else was surprised, Ji-Fei suddenly noticed a figure, and his suspicious eyes were staring at Ji-Fei. As soon as Ji-Fei came into contact with it, he quickly turned his gaze away, and at the same time, he looked like he was about to be discovered. That's right, it was Tang San that Ji-Fei saw just now, because Ji-Fei didn't see clearly what Tang San was in right now, but Ji-Fei was very puzzled. Why did Tang San still how about working in the blacksmith shop by yourself? Obviously I left him so many gold soul coins. Langshan, do you think this is a special kind of fate? Ji-Fei sighed for a while, walking into a blacksmith's shop and meeting Tang San who was working here. What's more special is that, although his appearance has been transformed by Quack, his voice is still somewhat similar to before. If such a voice came out suddenly, people familiar with it would definitely remember it, and there is no doubt that Tang San is such a person. Guest? What kind of kitchen utensils do you need? Choose from here, and I'll recommend them to you. The strong man's loud voice woke Ji-Fei from his thoughts, and at the same time, pointed to the wall beside him. Superior. End of this chapter. Chapter 315. Meet again. 2. Fate. It doesn't count. After all, there is only one blacksmith shop in Notting City, and Tang San has his own purpose after all. Even if you left him so many golden soul coins, he still needs to come. It's working here, isn't it? What Ji Lanshan said was not wrong. Tang San was not a lazy person, on the contrary he was very diligent. Even if he knew that he had enough golden soul coins to survive, he might not be able to act like a second generation ancestor. Ji-Fei naturally knew this from the previous bit by bit. Forget it, we're here to buy kitchen utensils, so don't worry about anything else. I hope he won't recognize me. Don't worry if you don't recognize him, he's just a little confused. Well, I'm still very relieved about Guagua's disguise. I can see that there is a ghost. Guided by the strong man, the three of Ji-Fei came to the wall covered with various kitchen utensils. There were still many kitchen utensils on the surrounding tables, and there were many broken kitchen utensils on the ground. In the past, it was discarded, or recycled and reforged. I don't know how many kitchen utensils you need. The quality here is high quality. The kitchen utensils are forged by our best blacksmiths. Look at that little brother. He uses the legendary skills of our blacksmiths. Forged by the random wind hammer method, such kitchen utensils are absolutely heat resistant and wear resistant, and can be used for a long time. Tang San. Ji-Fei murmured, saying that he also knows the chaotic cloak and hammer method, but he chose to practice it in order to condense his soul power. Of course, the previous Ji-Fei always regarded blacksmithing as a special skill, the process of cultivation, but later I found that I really have nothing to do with forging, and I can't use it at all. It's better to learn how to cook. Comprehended. Tang San turned his eyes to Ji-Fei's side, smiled slightly. His eyes were full of doubts, which were like accumulated dark clouds that could not be dissipated. I haven't seen Tang San for a long time. Tang San's whole temperament has undergone a very unique change. The introverted sharpness is undetectable to ordinary people, and although the simple face is not handsome, it also has a unique charm. It is definitely the kind that stands out among its peers. Is that so? Then pick a few pots forged by that little brother, and pack and put away other kitchen utensils together. Ji-Fei raised his finger, and pointed to Tang San over there and said slowly. The strong man responded and walked away with a smile on his face. This is a big deal. Maybe this month's turnover will be full like this. How great would it be if such people could buy kitchen utensils or weapons and armor every day? It won't be long before he can develop his blacksmith shop. Tang San put down the hammer in his hand, then walked towards Ji-Fei and the others. Excuse me, do we know each other? Tang San looked at Ji-Fei and asked suspiciously. This is the first time for Ji-Fei to take a closer look at Tang San, that is, his younger brother of 6 years, the younger brother who has not been separated for a long time. Ji-Fei showed a kind smile, and then said, is there any? Tang San asked tentatively, are you the seniors of Notting College? Guagua at the side, glanced at Ji-Fei who was in trouble, and responded to Tang San with a voice, well, that's right, we are 6th grade students in Notting City. What's wrong? Tang San shook his head, and then said, it's nothing, I just feel that this person is a bit like someone I know, someone who is very important to me. Ji-Fei smiled, and then said, really? What about that person who is very important to you? Why don't you go see him? Maybe he wants to see you too? Tang San said, I went to the village with my sister before, but he and my father left, leaving only a letter. I don't know where they went, or they said they don't want to see me anymore. Tang San also returned to Holy Soul Village after Fei and Tang left. Fei is still very clear about this, it's just that I didn't expect that this matter seemed to have a great impact on Tang San, and I don't know what Tang was thinking. Don't you have a younger sister by your side? So it's enough to protect your younger sister. Hearing this, Tang San was slightly puzzled. Although he was not very famous and not in college, Xiao Wu often followed him, so he was familiar with almost the whole not in college, but the few people in front of him. Why do you look like you don't know each other? Then he asked, Senior, don't you know Xiao Wu? Xiao Wu? Ah, of course I know this one. How could I not know it? Fei secretly thought that it was not good. He seemed to have forgotten something. It seemed that everything was still following the original situation and there was no special change. So it was the best at that time, otherwise it would really become very troublesome. Tang San was very puzzled. He felt that these three people seemed to be hiding something, but he couldn't take the initiative to ask, as long as there was no danger to him or Xiao Wu. You guys are ready. How do you take it away? Do you need us to deliver it to your door? As long as you give an exact address, we can deliver it. The strong man patted his chest and said that it would be completely handed over to them. You can rest assured. Fei was very grateful to this strong man for his rescue. If he continued to talk to Tang San, he might really show his flaws. People who don't have any specific contact, how can they know the internal composition? However, what this strong man said made Fei very concerned. Think about how far it is from here to the Mizzen Grand Canyon. If you tell this strong man, I'm afraid he will collapse immediately. Right, absolute. There's no need for this. We can take it away by ourselves. Fei walked to the pair of kitchen utensils and was stunned as he looked at the pile of kitchen utensils. This strong man really dared to take them, and he was about to destroy the entire blacksmith. Have all the shops been evacuated? Fei handed the golden soul coin in his hand to the strong man. The guests don't need so many kitchen utensils, said the strong man. Fei turned on his 7 emotions ring and put these kitchen utensils into the 7 emotions ring and said, the extra is for that little brother. I had a good chat with him. You guys really recruited a good blacksmith. Under the astonished eyes of everyone, Fei put away the piled up kitchen utensils, then took Yi Lanshan's hand to signal that Quack could go, and then walked outside. Point. After seeing that one side, there is such a special feeling, but it's okay, at least I know that Tang San is doing well now, and the process of cultivation is also very good. After all, the spirit power has reached the 15th level. To what extent? End of this chapter. Chapter 316 Greed and Tang 1. Fei, Yi Lanshan, and Guagua returned to the branch hall of the Wuhan temple around the evening point. When they went back, they happened to run into Ziyuan and Hulina. The 7 of them briefly met outside, and then each talked about what they had done today. Of course, Ziyu, Yan, and Hulina bought a series of daily necessities that were enough for the 7 of them. After all, according to what Undead Douluo said, they would live in the Lost Canyon for a long time. Of course, Ziyu and the others were more concerned about whether Fei and the others had killed the Travises Aoming. And Fei was in charge of briefly telling Ziyu and the 3 of what happened today. That is, Undead Douluo's strong attack. No, it should be said to be a simple and clear scene of killing a Travise. Fei felt that what he said was very simple, but Ziyu and the 3 of them seemed to have made up some incredible battle scene in their brains, and they were very excited. Ah, what did Teacher Immortal do? Why haven't you come back yet? Relying on the soft sofa, he yawned and asked. Fei looked outside the door. When he came back, he found that Undead Douluo hadn't come back. After questioning Marziuno said that Undying Douluo was staying in the room originally, and no one saw Undying Douluo. Douluo walked out, and Guagua was signaling to Fei and the others that they don't have to worry about anything. Just wait for Undead Douluo to come back in peace, and it won't be too long. Guag leaned on the side and ate the fruit in the fruit plate. I'm still in Notting City. Maybe I'm doing something. Wait a while. Anyway, I can't leave Notting City today. Maybe tomorrow morning we will leave. It might be possible to go back to the Lost Grand Canyon. So ZU, let them prepare a few rooms. ZU nodded after getting the understanding. It is probably better to stay here than to sleep on the griffin. Although the griffin's hair is soft and has an indescribably comfortable feeling, it is above the sky after all, and the fear of heights, the feeling is really not easy to wear off. Okay, I'll let Matthew prepare the room and dinner. ZU walked out after saying that. Fei looked at the setting sun outside the window, rendering the sky a bright blood red. That layer of atmosphere was not peaceful. It seemed that there was such a feeling of tension. Why is it an illusion? At the same time, Immortal Douluo is standing on the tallest building in Notting City at this moment, holding a wine jug in his hand. This wine jug is extremely exquisite, and the perfect and complex carving alone may consume a lot of manpower and material resources. It is rare for an undead Douluo to take out such a precious flagon to hold wine. Maybe the undying Douluo will not be stingy with those he thinks are valuable, right? Of course. He himself was of course a valuable class. Gudu. Raising his head and swallowing his wine, Immortal Douluo lost the disguise on his body, and his appearance was still so heroic and extraordinary. No matter how he looked, he was only in his 20s. Blood red, her eyes merged with the sunset glow in the distance. They were sharp eyes that could penetrate everything. Why do you hide, little guy? The old man doesn't like you. A masculine little guy who is still hiding in the dark. After following this, you should come out. Do you still want this old man to kill you? Undead Douluo looked into the distance and muttered. But just after the words fell, a muscular figure appeared on the original high platform. This figure has broad arms and solid muscles that can't be concealed even by a fluffy black robe. I don't know if the messy hair was done on purpose or it was meant to be like that. If Fei and Tang San saw this man, they would definitely recognize it at first sight. That's right, this man is Tang Heo, the famous Haitian Douluo, the owner of the title Douluo with absolute strength, ranked in the mainland. Top notch. Immortal Douluo didn't look at Tang Heo, he was simply drinking. His blood red eyes stared into the distance, as if he had merged into the whole sky, or it could be said that the whole sky returned to undying Douluo's side. Tang Heo didn't open his mouth immediately, but just stared at the undead Douluo. He didn't know what to talk to the undead Douluo in front of him. He couldn't feel what this person's strength was like, as if he was just the most ordinary. He's just an ordinary person, but the more he thinks about it, the more terrifying it feels to him. Finally, Tang Heoan couldn't stand it anymore. He felt that he was under a strong oppressive force. This was a feeling he hadn't felt for many years. I don't know who you are. Why did you come here? And your purpose of taking Fei is also because of his ability to nullify his soul power. Undead Douluo chuckled. If you feel it is, then it is. If you feel not, then it is not. It shouldn't matter if I tell you whether it is true or not. You just need to know that Fei is not as simple as you think. Just exist. Tang Heo looked dazed. How do you say that? Undead Douluo directly said, you can't say that. At the same time, Undead Douluo raised the exquisite flagon in his hand and said to the sunset in the distance, do you think the sunset in the distance is as gorgeous as when that girl Xiaoying died? You. Tang Heo's expression became extremely agitated. The corners of his squirming mouth started to twitch. His deeply furrowed brows seemed to be inseparable, and he became ashamed of Undead Douluo. A salutation of you. Undead Douluo sighed. That girl Xiaoying is pretty good, just like the old man's Rurao, but she's not as gentle. But after the transformation, Xiaoying seems to be pretty good. You know Yin? Tang Heo tried his best to restrain the dull feeling in his heart. This time is definitely a time that he never wants to recall, even if it is not good at all. Immortal Douluo patted the vacant place beside him, waved his hand. In a short time, a pitch black hole appeared in the sky, and then another delicate jug appeared. Sit down and drink with the old man. Tang Heo was taken aback for a moment, but he did as he did, sitting next to Undead Douluo with a slightly nervous expression. You fell in love with a soul beast that was so many years older than me, in the form of a human, and I, the old man, Fell in love with a transformed soul beast that was younger than me in a special form. The age gap seems to be quite big, so hundreds of millions of years. It doesn't seem right, it seems to be longer. Undead Douluo poured a pot of wine. It's a bit late to meet, but I will regret it. What do you think? Boy. End of this chapter. Chapter 317 Greed and Tang Heo. 2. Tang Heo was very puzzled and tried hard to recall whether he had ever seen this senior beside him. He seemed to have never seen him at all. Right, this senior, who was younger than he looked, exuded a dangerous and terrifying aura, as if he felt dragged into the abyss as soon as he touched it. Senior, what do you want to say? Tang Heo asked tentatively. Immortal Douluo said slowly, I don't have anything to say. I just lament that you are very lucky. You can reach the pinnacle of Soul Master at this age. I don't know how many people will envy you. Blessing? Tang Heo shook his head. If this is called blessing, I would rather not have it. Even if I become an ordinary person, as long as Yin can accompany me, I would give everything. Tang Heo raised his neck and gulped down a big gulp of the wine that undead Douluo handed over. Suddenly, Tang Heo's slightly dim eyes flickered with a strange light. His speech became a little stammered, and at the same time, he looked at undead Douluo. Could it be that you are the undead grandfather mentioned by Yin? PFFT. Immortal Douluo sprayed out a mouthful of elf brew just now, wiped the corner of his mouth. Undead Douluo looked at Tang Heo a little angrily, and said, who told you? That girl Yin? Tang Heo seemed a little restrained. Where there is no aura of a titled Douluo, where is the temperament that a top titled Douluo in the mainland should have? Respectfully said to undead Douluo, it's just that I have the honor to drink this stuff too. Tang Heo shook the wine jug in his hand. It contained elf brew, but it was a very precious thing. If it wasn't enough for the elf brew, even undead Douluo wouldn't be able to take out so much with such a generous amount the spirit brewed to drink it. Too many thoughts accumulated on Tang Heo's face. His eyes were slightly hazy for a while, and at the same time he continued to say to undead Douluo, Yin once brought it to me to drink. It was because I was stuck in the 79th Soul Sage level, when she couldn't break through. Yin brought this thing, something similar to wine. I still don't know what it's called, but I heard Yin said that it was given to her by her good friend's husband, undead grandpa. At that time, I wondered how could Yin, the husband of Yin's friend, be called grandpa? Later, I learned about it. And after I drank this thing, I broke through from level 79 to level in an instant. At that time, I kept asking Yin what it was, but Yin just said that I couldn't say it. Grandpa undead tell them they can't tell other people he exists. Speaking of this, Tang Heo paused for a moment and stared at undead Douluo with his sideways face. This young appearance really doesn't seem like an existence that has lived for so long, right? But it may be because of this reason that he can maintain such a young face and have such a strong momentum, right? Immortal Douluo chuckled and then said, Yin, this girl is too brainy. Everyone else calls this old man undead brother. Only she has one mouthful and one immortal grandpa. No matter how much I bribe her to make her change her mind, she will not change it. Back then when the old man and Rao gave birth to their daughter, she still competed to be a godmother, saying that in the future she would give birth to a boy and marry our daughter. Tang Heo also lowered his head, showing a special smile. Is that so? Yin is really big and carefree. She hated me when we first met. On the contrary, she respects my elder brother very much. Immortal Douluo raised his hand and patted Tang Heo's shoulder and said with a smile, silly boy, Yin respects people she doesn't know well. Only people who want to get close to people she knows well will be careless. Is that so? I really haven't noticed. Tang Heo raised his head and stared at the distant sunset with eyes full of memories. The sunset was so bright, so shocking, and equally so miserable. But, Immortal Douluo looked at Tang Heo who clenched his fists tightly and sighed helplessly and said, I hate Wu Hundian very much, right? In fact, Rao was also killed by Wu Hundian, but at that time, the old man was there just asleep. You did a good job, kid. Tang Heo suddenly raised his head and stared at undead Douluo. Your wife is also Immortal Douluo smiled slightly. That's right. The 10-year soul ring of the first martial spirit of Pope Bibidang of the Spirit Hall is the old man's wife, and the old man's wife is a 10-year-old soft-bone rabbit. The old man raised him since he was a child, and later. Immortal Douluo's face was slightly rosy when he said this, and he couldn't believe that a guy as strong as Undying Douluo would blush. I don't know what would happen if Fei and the others saw such an undead Douluo. Be surprised, shocked. If such a scene could be saved, Fei would definitely take it out and keep it as soon as possible. Tang Heo frowned, and he asked, Senior, your strength may not be simple, right? Why didn't you avenge your wife? If it was you, even Kind Daoliu couldn't compare to you, right? Immortal Douluo took a look at Tang Heo, and then said slowly, so what if it is destroyed? So what if the old man can destroy the Millennium Foundation of his Wuhan Hall with just a few fingers? Can the old man's Rerao be resurrected? Can your Yin resurrection? In fact, it is also possible. If the first half of the sentence gave Tang Heo a heavy blow in reality, then the latter sentence seemed to give Tang Heo an endless sense of hope. Can it be revived? Resurrection. What the old man is interested in is the inheritance of the gods of their Wuhan temple. Do you understand? What the old man has to do is to deprive Rerao of one of the gods of the Wuhan temple, so that Rerao can be resurrected after becoming a god. Of course, now that the old man doesn't like to take and rob, the old man wants her Bibidang to kneel down and deliver it to the old man. At the same time, the old man will abolish her as an apology. And that girl Yin, she is Rerao's good friend no matter what. Wuhan, there are two gods in the temple, and the old man will deprive you of both to give you one. But Yin's origin is still there? Tang Heo seemed to feel a strong shock and bewilderment. He didn't expect that there are gods in this world, and the immortal Douluo in front of him didn't have the slightest sense of, or when he talked about gods. On the contrary, his eyes were full of contempt. What kind of existence is this? Immortal Douluo smiled slightly. Depriving the god position is actually very simple, but now is not the time. After all, I still have to abide by an agreement to protect this continent for that lord, as well as my friends. That lord? Tang Heo asked, very puzzled. How terrifying would it be to be called a lord by such a strong man? Could there really be such a terrifying existence on this continent? Undead Douluo replied slowly, it's Fei. End of this chapter. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 318, Greed and Tang Heo. 3. What? Fei? Tang Heo was shocked. He couldn't believe his ears. Even if he knew that he was entrusted to adopt Fei, and knew that Fei had a trace of special martial spirit, he never thought that Fei actually had it. Such a history? Undead Douluo said, that's right, it's Fei, but now he hasn't fully recovered his memory, and the same power that belongs to him has also been temporarily sealed. After waiting for an unknown number of years, the old man finally feels the end is coming soon. The day when our family returns is the day when all the gods in the god realm will be slaughtered. Did those ants really think that we were wiped out? If it wasn't for Fei's father and Yi Lanshan's mother, why would we have ended up like this? How far? But it is precisely because of this that we need to help our lord. Tang Heo seems to feel that he has come into contact with some knowledge that does not belong to this era, but now his computer is full of excitement, unparalleled excitement. If Yin can be resurrected and become a god, it doesn't matter what he does. Even if he pays, everything doesn't matter anymore. Immortal Douluo also seemed to restrain his ambition and looked at Tang Heo again and said, you know, if you want to deprive the god position, you need to kill the god, and there is no existence of becoming a god in the Wuhan temple, so said that the old man can only wait. Once some of them accept the complete inheritance of the gods and become gods, then the old man will kill them, and the gods will naturally go to the old man. Now the two gods of Wuhan temple in the hands of two women, one is Bibidang and the other is Bibidang's daughter. Although these two gods are not powerful, they are also special gods from the old god realm. A god. Tang Heo was startled. pointed at himself, and said in surprise, "Me? Is it possible?" Immortal Douluo smiled slightly, and then said, "If Yin becomes a god, he will not grow old and live forever. What about you? You are just a titled Douluo, and when your lifespan ends, you will die, so you need to have a god, even if it is just a simple god. If it is a normal god realm, the two gods in Wuhan temple are first level gods, and have the right to lead their families to the god realm, but the deprivation of the god position is different, because it is forcibly plundering the god position from a person, so it will only endow divinity. Yin can only live on the Douluo Continent forever, and cannot reach the god realm. At the same time, Yin has god's power, but it can only adapt to the changes of the times." Tang Heo showed a little puzzlement. Senior, what do you mean by conforming to the times? It's very simple. The mainland has actually gone through many changes. From the ancient cultivation era, the magic age, the high martial arts era, to the current soul master era. What kind of ability to cultivate in what era is called conforming to the era. Corresponding. Yes, if you want to kill someone, you must use the rules of this era. May I ask you, Senior, are you also deprived of your god position like this? Tang Heo understood very quickly, and at the same time he was able to see the cards. This immortal senior also definitely has eternal life, an eternal life living on the Douluo Continent. Undead Douluo shook his head, and said slowly, "This is not the old man. The old man was just forced to degenerate due to some special reasons. The old man can use power and rules at will, but he will suffer a kind of restriction called divine punishment. It was formulated by Jifei's father and Yi Lanshan's mother." Yi Lanshan's mother? Is that the little girl Yi Lanshan's mother next to Xiao Fei? Is it a god? Tang Heo asked. Undead Douluo nodded, then seemed to feel something was wrong, shook his head again, and said, "It is a god, and it is not a god. If the power of a god is one, the power of the two of them is infinite, and this it should be, that what Jifei should inherit, is his father's infinite power." But the old man, the palace master, foolishly fell in love with a woman who shouldn't be in love, and it's hard to have eggs in a nest. Tang Heo never imagined that Jifei turned out to be such a terrifying existence, and at the same time, the little girl who followed him was also such a terrifying existence. People with such status would gather in this place where his son Tang San lived era. By the way, Soul Beast, Softbone Rabbit, Senior, your daughter won't be the girl named Xiao Wu next to Xiao San, right? There won't be such a special fate, right? Tang Heo naturally found out that staying by Tang San's side the little girl was actually transformed from a 10-year-old soul beast, and should be a rabbit, so it was natural for him to contact Undead Douluo and his wife. Immortal Douluo showed a special smile. "So you are very lucky, and the old man is also very lucky. Hey, I'm not afraid of your jokes. This is the first time this old man saw his daughter after she transformed. She is very cute. It's very similar to her mother. It's cheap for your kid, but just like the agreement reached between Yin and Rerao, it seems that the agreement that spanned more than years has really become a reality here." Immortal Douluo sighed. Never expected. His daughter is here. The lazy guy is right. The lazy guy is finally reliable for a while. Tang Heo couldn't believe that the girl named Xiao Wu was actually the daughter of this senior. His son was really up to date, and he had really confirmed his wife's appointment since he was a child. Immortal Douluo pointed to the distance, which happened to be not in college, and then Undying Douluo said, "The distance is actually a line full of twists and turns, and now this line has been smoothed out, so let everything take its course. This time the old man will not fall into a deep sleep. Naturally he will not let his daughter suffer any harm, even if he breaks his oath. The old man must protect his daughter and resurrect Rao, waiting for the recovery of the whole master and rebuilding belonging to the boundaries of our dreams. Tang Heo, you must protect Xiao Wu for the old man, and you don't need to do anything, just protect the two of them. Everything will naturally be done by the old man, and Jifei cannot be entrusted to him for the time being. 6 years later, wait for the memory of the whole master to stabilize after 6 years, and the old man will let him travel the mainland as he pleases. It's as if you don't even look at it. And your old man is also very eye-catching." Immortal Douluo patted Tang Heo's shoulder trustingly. Do you know why the old man and the Jifei you know are different from the Jifei you know? Tang Heo shook his head. I don't know. If our divine punishment represents eternal life, then the temple master's divine punishment represents reincarnation, and the Lord's divine punishment represents companionship. End of this chapter. Chapter 319 Greed and Tang Heo. 4. What Undead Douluo said was difficult for Tang Heo to understand. It wasn't that Tang Heo's brain was not working well, it was just that it evolved a long time ago, so the ability to analyze and accept would be greatly reduced. Point in this feeling will deepen with the passage of time. This kind of puzzlement. Immortal Douluo looked at Tang Heo and then said, actually, you don't have to think so complicated. What the old man said is very simple. You also have to protect the old man's daughter. The old man cannot protect her at any time. Then what will Xiao Fei do in 6 years? Tang Heo asked. Undead Douluo smiled slightly and then said, he made his own choice. He said that he would wander the world with Yi Lanshan, and he would also abduct my quack. Now, but this is the path he chose. The old man is naturally respectful, of course. There are some specific things that he must do, and it is hard for the old man to say anything here. Tang Heo nodded. His face was full of excitement. He never thought that he would be so excited one day after Ryan passed away. Never thought that such a day would come. Remember what the old man said. Of course, don't tell others about the old man's existence for the time being. The old man doesn't want to show his face in the front. Just like before, it is better to be a presence behind the scenes than those who charge forward. Tang Heo nodded. Senior, please rest assured that I will never mention the matter of Senior to anyone. Immortal Douluo stood up, stretched his waist, and said a little tiredly, the old man is going to take those 7 little guys to find a place to try their hand at it. How about it? Do you want to go together? Jifei's current situation, no matter how you say it, the soul power is level 33. Although soul masters are not very powerful overall, they are still the mainstream. Let's treat it as a period of time for Jifei to play with. Our enemies are never everyone, and we need to resist. It seems that they have also begun to act under currents. Forget it, I'm here to protect the senior's daughter and my mistress. Recently, I always feel a little uneasy in my heart. Maybe something is going to happen. Tang Heo took out a letter from his arms and handed it to him. Arrived in front of Undead Douluo. Senior, this is a letter I wrote to Xiao Fei. Please give it to him. No matter whether he has recovered his previous memory or not, please let him read this letter. Of course, the time to give it to him has come when Senior asked him to leave. Tang Heo's original plan had already been eliminated. If Jifei would become stronger quickly, if he practiced by his side, then he might have reached a special sublimation by following Undead Douluo. In essence, Tang Heo couldn't compare to Undead Douluo. Undead Douluo finally threw the envelope into the black hole that had just condensed. Well, this old man will hand it over to him at that time. Don't forget, you also need to find a god. Otherwise, when your Ayin is alive and you are dead, it will be very troublesome for Ayin. That's all. I'll help people to the end. The old man will give you a special memory. You can search for it according to the location in the memory. If the old man remembers correctly, there is a wild god's inheritance. According to the division, it is also the existence of a first level god's mansion. But it's a bit special. Whether you can get it or not depends on your luck. God, this word is as strange as it is to Tang Heo. The gods he knows are the people's beliefs that exist in legends, and there is no special form of expression at all. But now Undead Douluo wants to give him a position inherited from a god. You have something special about you, and you have a special aura. If you guessed correctly, why don't you go to the fire and slaughter capital? Immortal Douluo just wanted to take out a floating light to land on Tang Heo when he suddenly found Tang Heo some clues. Tang Heo nodded. I've been there before, and even a little lack of talent can be regarded as a combination of killing gods. There is also a big span for self-improvement. Undead Douluo nodded, and then said, God Shura, I don't need to give this to you. The inheritance of wild gods and gods that the old man said is God Shura. You can go back to the city of killing to find it yourself, but the old man feels that there is still a big gap between this aura and the aura of God Shura. Immortal Douluo looked at it for a while, and then said, just let it be, you don't need to force too much. If the first level gods are not enough, wait for the old man to ask you for a few second level gods. Although you can't enter the current god realm, but it's good to live leisurely in the lower realm, although the strength will be reduced, but the basic combat power still exists. Immortal Douluo didn't wait for Tang Heo's answer, walked to the side, and once again looked at the conspicuous sunset in the distance. At this moment, the sunset was about to dissipate, replaced by continuous black light. It was an absolutely pitch black night. That's all I want to say. Keep these words firmly in mind. Even if you really want to maintain your current strength, the most you can do is kill Bibidang. You may have to take advantage of it yourself. I have no plans to kill Bibidang for the time being. After all, this old man still needs to use her to cultivate a god position, and saving her life is also useful. These things are just a game of chess for this old man, and this old man can directly decide whether to stay or not. It's still the same as the previous sentence. It's easy to kill Bibidang, and it's even easier to destroy the spirit hall. But it's not impossible to keep them for a while to achieve their goals. It's only 20 years, maybe even shorter. That's it. It depends on whether Bibidang and her daughter can quickly play their role. Looking at Immortal Douluo, Tang Heo felt a strong sense of shock in his heart. If other people said such things, he might feel disdainful, but this undying Douluo is really special. Point every word, and every word seemed to control everything in his own hands. Even Kandao Liu, who he thought was the real strongest in Wuhan Hall, might be like a speck of dust beside undead Douluo. It is worth mentioning that the inheritance of the god position, if you want to snatch it like undead Douluo, you need to snatch it when the inheritor truly becomes a god point. And now on the mainland, there is no god who dares to descend. This is a very sad thing. Therefore, it is necessary to cultivate those existences in the lower realms that can become gods and then snatch their gods to achieve their goals for undead Douluo. This is also the most convenient method. If you choose to use other methods, it will become more or less troublesome. It also needs to violate the pattern of the mainland, so it is better not to do so. End of this chapter. Chapter 320 Fei and Tang 1. After the night fell, undead Douluo finally came back. His expression was still very flat, so Gujing Wubo, as if there was no good news to make him excited. But thinking about it, maybe he lived for too long, accumulated after too much excitement. You will find that there are almost no things that can make people happy or excited. Fei and the others did not take advantage of the night to leave Notting City as they wished. Instead they rested in the branch hall of the Wuhan Temple. Point of course, the necessary meals are absolutely indispensable. After all, no one knows that there will be a few days without eating. Immortal Douluo was sitting on the soft leather sofa. Of course, Fei and the others were also sitting together. They were planning to fall asleep, but undying Douluo said that he wanted to tell Fei and the others something, so they gathered together. Fei and Lanshan were sitting side by side. It was originally a sofa that could accommodate 2 people. Naturally, the others were the same. Ziyu just sat with Guakui dryly. It is worth mentioning that Fei also, after releasing Chaos, Lanshan also released Weili Raya. The 2 little guys were naturally the happiest pair to play with, while the others were a bit restrained. Point of course, the most notable ones are Yan and Hulina. Immortal Douluo took a look at Fei and the others, and then said slowly, tomorrow we won't be lost in the Grand Canyon for the time being, and we will find a nearby city with a fighting spirit field to participate in the fighting spirit. 1-on-1, 2 teams 2. You all need to participate in the team battle. There are not many goals, and you can overthrow all opponents. What the old man cares about is not what level you can reach. Level? Is there a level for fighting souls? Fei asked doubtfully. Of course, Fei is completely unaware of fighting spirits and the like. The only thing he knows may be that he doesn't need to worry about anything when he joins the battle. Just like fighting with those guys from Soul Master Academy before, he doesn't need to worry about anything. The rules, as long as it can defeat the opponent. And from the battle during this period of time, Fei realized a very important point. That is, the 7 of them didn't need to take any positions at all. They boarded the fighting spirit stage and all rushed up under Lanshan's blessing. No matter how strong the opponent is, they will be defeated in an instant. This is the absolute strength that Fei and the 7 of them have. This is the most powerful force. Ziyu still understood, so he began to explain to Fei. Similar to what I said before, there are specific levels on the fighting spirit stage, and this level is actually a badge. As long as you win, you can get points. The function of points is to improve the badge. It takes points to upgrade a badge to a copper badge, and this is just a span between levels. When it comes to upgrading a copper badge to a silver badge, it takes points, and it takes 5 points to upgrade a silver badge to a gold badge. Thousands of points, increasing successively, getting higher and higher, and if we participate in team battles, it may be very difficult. Fei was puzzled and asked, why? Ziyu explained, because of you and 7th sister, the rest of us have soul powers on the 20th step, and the 2 of you have already reached 30. According to the specific rules of the soul arena for a team battle like this, we need to use the highest soul power in the team to determine which stage we should be in. Let's put it this way, if it was us, we only need to participate in team battles between 20th level soul masters, and because of you 2 of us joining, the 5 of us will also need to accompany the 2 of you to participate in the battle of the 30 level soul master level, and the opponents you encounter will become very difficult and difficult to solve. Fei nodded. It turned out to be like this as Ziyu said. This has become very tricky point. Although I don't know how the fighting power of the Soul Master is compared to the Soul Beast, but if we have to talk about the gap, it is not much different. Fei suddenly thought of something, so he said to Ziyu and the others, didn't you forget that there is still Lanshan's soul ability? With the blessing of Lanshan's second soul ability, your soul power can reach level. Lanshan and I are at level. And with a perverted soul ability like Incarnation, who do you think will be our opponent? Ziyu also slapped her thigh suddenly. Yeah. How could I have forgotten this matter? With such an increase in soul power, we can face the enemy head on, even if there is a soul skill gap between the opponent and us. But every time it's not that simple. Fighting with soul beasts during this period of time always feels like something is missing. Although the power of soul beasts is strong, they don't have the ability to adapt. If you want to fight with soul masters, you should be able to experience the real joy of fighting. Others are also eager to try. During this period of time, they have always fought with soul beasts. They have gradually become familiar with the mindless and hard charging routines of soul beasts, so they have gradually become less interested. This time they have to face soul masters. And it's this kind of team battle that is much higher than his own level, which is very good. Ahem. Don't get too excited, you guys. If you dare to lose a game to this old man, you understand the consequences, right? Whether it's an individual battle, a second team, or a team battle, it's all up to you to prepare for it yourself. Old man, what I want is a complete victory. The purpose of this old man is to fight from here to the Lost Grand Canyon, and you are not allowed to lose a game in the middle. Do you understand? Fei and the others nodded, and they would never be afraid of fighting at the highest level, which was only a 30 level soul master. Moreover, they are still extremely sure of victory. If it is normal, it may feel tricky, but it is different now. The 7 of them have become completely different after going through the previous training. Go and rest. We will set off early tomorrow morning. Of course, you must wear the human skin masks on your faces. This is your best cover. You are not allowed to take it off until you are lost in the Grand Canyon. It will take us a few months to return to the Lost Canyon, so be prepared to sort out your mood, and the rest of the specific details of participating in the soul fight can be arranged between the 7 of you, and the old man just monitors whether you will to win. Guagua can be your mentor. He will personally watch your battles, analyze your battles and teach you. Fei took a look at the smiling croak. Thinking about it, it seemed to be a pretty good thing, right? Guagua seems to have a good attainment in the knowledge of soul masters. Another point is that Guagua is much gentler than undead Douluo. Such an existence can always make people feel very at ease. End of this chapter. Chapter 321. Fei and Lanshan 2. Bang bang bang. Fei was lying on the bed thinking about participating in the soul fight tomorrow. He and Lanshan would be a very good combination if they formed a team. At least in terms of combat power, they would definitely crush everyone. As for individual battles, Fei, I'm also confident that I can crush all guys of the same level or even higher. The sudden knock on the door startled Fei, wondering who was knocking on the door so late. His mind became active, and Fei seemed to have learned something, so he smiled meaningfully. Pushing the door open in response, Fei thought that his guess was right. It was Lanshan. Fei looked at Lanshan and said softly, "It's so late, and I don't sleep. I should have dark circles tomorrow morning." Lanshan smiled slightly, and then said, "Dark circles are not really counted, but there are some things I want to tell you." Fei turned sideways to let Lanshan quickly enter the room. Although it's the beginning of spring, there is still a faint chill in the air. Although it's not intimidating, it still makes people feel uncomfortable after staying for a long time. The lights hadn't been turned off yet. Fei was not a person used to the dark. Compared with the dark and bright environment, Fei could feel at ease from all aspects. The rooms prepared for them by the branch hall of Wuhandian are all the best ones, so they are still very comfortable to live in. Lanshan and Fei sat on the edge of the bed. Fei lay down casually. After all, sometimes sitting is quite tiring. Simply lying down can completely relax your body. Sometimes this is more fulfilling than sleeping. With a plop, a gust of wind blew up in Fei's ears, and Lanshan immediately lay down next to Fei, seeming to enjoy this comfortable and gentle feeling. Although both of them wear human skin masks and have two completely unfamiliar faces, the two people who share the same mind can hear what is in each other's mind anytime and anywhere. But Fei is not used to this ability, so it is said that he can't think of what Lanshan is thinking all the time, or this ability is delayed by Fei. It will be a little slower for a while. On the other hand, Lanshan is completely different. She can fully understand what Fei is imagining, and can quickly capture a simple thought, and then make a specific reaction. Fei didn't open his mouth to speak. Instead he started to use the special way of communication between him and Lanshan, sound transmission. Fei said, "We can use transmission whenever we want. I feel that it is the best way to communicate in this environment." Lanshan replied, "Well, then use this. So what do you want to tell me? There is nothing so anxious, right?" Fei asked. Lanshan replied, "I just feel that it's good to tell you something, at least let you have a rough goal. Maybe it's too early to talk about it now, but I also think this is the best time. Then tell me, I'll listen carefully, without missing a word." Lanshan looked up at the ceiling. A special smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. She still didn't speak. It was simply sound transmission, using the ability between two people. Only the two of them could hear it. "Before you were very confused about your own identity, right? I think you should hurry up and want to know your identity and your origin. Why would you say that you are a person from this world who is obviously a time traveler, right? It's actually very simple. You are my husband from a long time ago and always have been. I will live longer than greedy them, and you will be the same. Remember God's punishment?" Fei was not too surprised. He believed that Lanshan would be able to explain clearly for himself. At least tonight, Lanshan could clarify all the doubts in his heart, even if not all of them, but most of them would still be there. If other people, like greed and laziness, their divine punishment is to live forever, but as long as they violate it, they will erase the people around them. Then my divine punishment is to love you forever, and your divine punishment is to love you forever of forgetting. We don't have the strength to get rid of God's punishment. Even if it is stronger than us, we can't get rid of it. But there is only one thing I want you to know. At least don't remember who I am, or who you are so quickly, can you? Fei turned his face to the side, and suddenly found two lines of sober teardrops in Lanshan's eyes sliding down his cheeks. Fei reached out, and wiped away Lanshan's tears without stopping. "Actually, I know what you want to say. I will die, if I remember it. At least I will die and leave you. Is it?" Lanshan turned her face to feel Fei's cold palm. Her eyes were full of surprise, and said in disbelief, "You?" Fei smiled slightly, "Because we are connected. You have suffered all these years. It is painful to always love someone who ignores you, right? Actually, I remembered it a long time ago, but I just didn't tell you. When did Douluo disappear?" Ji-Fei shook his head. Maybe earlier, or later. Anyway, I remembered it very early, but I just didn't tell you. Suddenly, Yi Lanshan lay on her side, and lay directly in Ji-Fei's arms, and the sobbing sound could not be stopped for a while. Ji-Fei gently patted Yi Lanshan on the back and said, there are still 20 years left, right? We can stay for at least 20 years, can't we? Generally speaking, my father still loves me, at least after remembering. I can still live for another 20 years, can't I? We can do a lot of things in these 20 years. Maybe my memory has been completely recovered from the first time I saw you, but I'm afraid you were worried, and didn't tell you, that's all. Hey, life, I ask you a question. Do you regret it? Ji-Fei looked at Yi Lanshan and asked softly. It was an opening, not a sound transmission. Do you regret it? Destroy. Yi Lanshan also didn't give Ji-Fei a direct answer, but asked directly. If I regret it, do you think I will still fall into endless reincarnation? From a long time ago to now and later. If I regret it, do you think I will wait for you for a year, 100 years, 1000 years, 1 years, 10 years, tens of millions of years, just to wait for you to call life? Ji-Fei looked at Yi Lanshan very seriously, and his introverted emotions had turned calm. Yeah, the two of us have never forgotten that. Even if your mother and my father punished us like this, I have never forgotten each other. Even if I keep reincarnating, I will remember you one day, and then I can live for 20 years. After 20 years, I die, you live. End of this chapter. Chapter 320 to Ji-Fei and Yi Lanshan. 3. Ji-Fei felt that he should have told Yi Lanshan about this earlier, but he was a little afraid that Yi Lanshan would be worried and sad, so he didn't tell, and it has been delayed until now. In fact, if Yi Lanshan didn't take the initiative to tell Ji-Fei these things tonight, Ji-Fei might still have kept it a secret. As Yi Lanshan said, he is not a time traveler, but he just lived a life from another world. He is the son of a god, the son of the one who has the power of the supreme god, but is called a demon god. And Yi Lanshan's identity is also very special. She is the daughter of a goddess, the daughter of a god who is hostile to the demon god, the daughter of the one who calls herself a goddess without a specific title. Ji-Fei lifted Yi Lanshan's messy hair, and then said slowly, don't worry, this is the last time. I will work hard for you not to suffer anymore, and for you not to continue to suffer this pain. Do what I should do within the next 20 years. Yi Lanshan didn't speak, she just stared at Ji-Fei with her slightly red and swollen eyes, as if silence had become the main theme. This was the silence that belonged to the two of them. Ji-Fei sighed, looked up at the ceiling above, and murmured, there are still 20 years, no, more than 19 years. I think we should continue to maintain this state and let nature take its course. Enough. Ji-Fei seemed to be imagining how he would spend the next 19 years with Yi Lanshan. How can we spend it happily? There should be many places to go, right? And cultivation can't be put on hold. At least you have to enjoy the feeling of what is called a title Douluo. We exchanged God's punishment. Yi Lanshan suddenly said this, with a hint of sadness. Ji-Fei sat up suddenly, grabbed Yi Lanshan lying in his arms with both hands, and asked with special anger in his eyes, what did you say? What do you mean by that? What does it mean, that we have exchanged God's punishment? Please explain to me. Hiss. Yi Lanshan could not help but take a sharp breath as she felt a tremendous strength from Ji-Fei's hands grasping her shoulders. Ji-Fei also seemed to be aware of his fault, and hastily withdrew that force, simply controlling Yi Lanshan's body, to prevent her from falling. What exactly do you mean by what you said? Tell me clearly. Yi Lanshan turned her face slightly, and then said slowly, it is the divine punishment, that I will replace you in the future. You can live forever, and you don't have to bear the sense of despair brought about by every death. In the future, life will replace you. You go to die. Ji-Fei was stunned. He couldn't believe that what he heard was the truth. He couldn't believe what Yi Lanshan said was true. It was clear that this was something that was fixed from the very beginning. God's punishment, the supreme god. How could God's punishment be changed so easily? How is this possible? Do you mean to let me live in this world by myself in the future, and then run around in this world to find your footprints, fall in love with you, and then watch you die? Well, it's much better than death, right? Now, I've prayed for So many years that my mother finally responded to me, so let me die instead of you this time, and you should also experience the wonderfulness of this world. I think it is enough. 20 years later, this time I will die. You live well. You are not allowed to find other women. Otherwise, even if I remember you in the future, I will not talk to you. For the first time in Defying, Yi Lanshan showed the delicate attitude that a little girl should have. She is very beautiful. Even if she is not her original appearance, she is also very beautiful. No matter how many layers of occlusion, it cannot be covered. Yi Lanshan took off the human skin mask on her face without any hassle, revealing the peerless face she should have had again, and said, well, it feels a bit weird to wear this thing. It's better to take it off. Defying was stunned. He couldn't believe that things would turn out like this. The divine punishment that originally belonged to him became Yi Lanshan's. Just like when he and Yi Lanshan knelt in front of their father and her mother, it was exactly the same point when asked who would accept death punishment. He chose death punishment without hesitation. But he never thought that the so-called death penalty would make him eternally reincarnate as an ordinary person, and correspondingly, Yi Lanshan would live forever, keep his love for him, and then walk forever looking for Defying's reincarnation. On the way, find him, and accompany him, and then watch him die. The life of an ordinary person is limited. At most it is 100 years, and this is counted from childhood point, and once Defying remembers Yi Lanshan and his own memory, his life will be reduced to 20 years. After 20 years, Defying will die, and then reincarnate again, forever, and Yi Lanshan will step on the road again. On the way to find Defying's reincarnation, never give up point. This is a divine punishment that belongs to the two of them. It's strange to say that Defying and Yi Lanshan, who originally belonged to the controllers of the two god realms, had such a special love that led to such a tragedy. As the son of the demon god, Defying should have inherited the supreme position of the demon god, but for Yi Lanshan he chose to betrayed his father, and sealed his father up with his own hands, and he also clearly remembered the most severe curse that his father gave him at the last moment, when he sealed his father. I can never love you. The same is true for Yi Lanshan, leading their divine punishment. Yi Lanshan has been walking on the road, looking for Defying's reincarnation in various worlds, and guarding him. Sometimes when she found Defying's reincarnation, Defying was already old and out of shape, and sometimes he had just died, or was just born. She had seen and experienced all kinds of forms, but she is powerless to change this state. Even if she prays every day, praying that her mother can forgive, the two of them will not help. Do you know what the meaning of doing this is? Defying asked, looking at Yi Lanshan, who was nowhere near her. Yi Lanshan nodded. I hope you will remember me forever, and I will pay all the price for this. Is it possible? If it was you, you would definitely be able to find me earlier, and then make my reincarnation earlier. Love, shall I fuck you? After all, you are so pretty. Defying closed his eyes slowly, opened them again after a while, took a deep breath, and said to Yi Lanshan, I won't watch you die. I'll destroy you. Don't fight for your life. Don't let me die. It's a day and night, but there is one thing. In this life, I want to completely smash God's punishment. One day, we can both return to the holy land of our dreams, and have a world that belongs to the two of us. In 20 years, within these 20 years, I will smash this world. Destiny, from this land, where the demon god is sealed. Crush fate. End of this chapter. Chapter 323. Defying and Yi Lanshan. 4. Relatively speechless, the heart has spoken. Point. Using these simple 8 words to describe the current state of Defying and Yi Lanshan seems to be the most appropriate. Yi Lanshan sat up suddenly, stared at Defying, and said abruptly, forget about what happened tonight. Can you stay with me for 20 years without any burden? You have no right to refuse. From the past, you will listen to me in everything you say. This time is even more so. In the future, you will see the world for me. Don't forget to find me. No matter what state I'm in, I will fall in love with you again. This has been from the day we met in the God Realm Alliance. Confirmed. Defying had already noticed that Yi Lanshan wanted to erase his memory, at least the memory of tonight. Point. So he hurriedly wanted to stop Yi Lanshan, but it seemed it was too late. Yi Lanshan's hand slowly stretched out, and it landed directly on Jifei's body with a cloud of gloomy green light point, and Jifei's body also emitted a layer of purple light, and the two kinds of light quickly merged together in an instant, and Jifei was thrown directly on the bed, as if passed out. Yi Lanshan leaned over to observe Jifei's aura, and at the same time, two lines of tears flowed down, like she couldn't live up to her expectations, and fell directly on Jifei's neck. Jifei seemed to have really fainted, but he still exuded a uniform breath. At least from this point of view, Yi Lanshan's memory erasing ability was successful. Forget all the unpleasant things I said tonight. I will be with you for the next 20 years. Let me be your life for another 20 years. After 20 years, I will start to step into your reincarnation. You must also keep look for me, since your memory has been revived. After I die, you will remember everything today. After finishing the words, Yi Lanshan leaned over and made a deep impression on Jifei's lips. In an instant, Jifei's originally slightly closed eyes suddenly opened, just in time to see the scene where Yi Lanshan leaned over to kiss him. Yi Lanshan's lips were cold, and they were so close together, Jifei could see clearly that Yi Lanshan's eye sockets were red and swollen. You're awake. You fell asleep just now. Yi Lanshan retreated a little coquettishly and stared at Jifei's reaction. Did I fall asleep just now? Jifei asked with some doubts. I seem to have fallen asleep. Why is it so bad? I don't remember what good things I did to get such a reward. Jifei said with a smile on his lips. Yi Lanshan stared at Jifei very seriously and seemed to realize that Jifei really didn't remember what happened just now. As if she breathed a sigh of relief, she said, I didn't do anything good, so it's a reward for you. Jifei smiled slightly, looked at Yi Lanshan who was almost lying on his body, then raised his hand to gently touch Yi Lanshan's slightly red and swollen eye sockets, and asked tentatively, Lanshan, are you crying? No, why am I crying? It's just because I just woke up. By the way, I came to call you. Sister Nina and the others said that they want to study the matter of the soul fighting field. Let's go too, or they should wait in a hurry. Jifei nodded. Okay, you go first. I'll come right away. Yi Lanshan suddenly moved closer to Jifei's face. Her light blue eyes stared at Jifei's slightly purple eyes, as if she wanted to see what Jifei was thinking at the moment. What's the matter? We are still young, and the others are still waiting for us. Don't tell me you still want to do this. Jifei leaned forward before he finished speaking, and his lips naturally touched Yi Lanshan's superior. But Jifei left in an instant, tilted his head slightly, and just looked at the shy Yi Lanshan like this. Yi Lanshan didn't look like she wanted to refute, and walked outside with a hint of a smile. When he walked outside the door, he suddenly turned back, leaned his hands on the door, and said to Jifei, actually, we are not young anymore, right? And I don't hate this. You don't remember what happened tonight, right? Looking at Yi Lanshan's tentative inquiry, Jifei also expressed some doubts. What happened tonight? Of course I remember. This is my first kiss. Okay, Lanshan, did you do this to me while I was asleep? Something strange? No way. I won't lose my body in my sleep, will I? PFFT. Yi Lanshan covered her chuckle, and then Jifei said, you're still calling yourself a loser. Hurry up, the others are still waiting for the two of us. After saying that, Yi Lanshan left without waiting for Jifei. Maybe Yi Lanshan needed to sort out her mood and recall the memory that belonged to Jifei and her that she had just destroyed with her own hands. The last thing she could see was that cold face that had returned to its original state. Jifei looked at Yi Lanshan who was leaving, and he was sure that Yi Lanshan had already left. The light smile on his face suddenly disappeared, and he suddenly felt a bitter feeling. Life. Every time you do things, you are so reckless. How could I have the heart to watch you die in front of me again and again? This is the last time. How could you erase my memory? Question mark? The unforgettable memories again and again, our meeting, our acquaintance, our separation, every time. Suddenly, Jifei raised his head and looked at the brilliant galaxy outside the window, as if there was a pair of eyes watching Jifei somewhere. Those eyes were very special, as if they were empty, but at the same time, seemed to encompass everything. Father, you once told me that, if a demon wants to become a good person, He needs to find someone he loves and dedicate everything to her. Then he can become a good person. But why did I find the person I love in the end? But you made me a bad person again. Cool. Ji-Fei stood up, patted his face hard, dispelled all the bad moods, and took a few deep breaths to restore his state to the way it was before. What Ji-Fei wanted to cover up was to make Yi Lanshan feel that nothing happened tonight, and he and Yi Lanshan had no communication tonight. Just as Yi Lanshan wants to erase her own memory in the end, Ji-Fei also needs to cover up, but Ji-Fei is just covering up to Yi Lanshan. Standing up and stretching his waist, Ji-Fei let out a very comfortable moan. I also have to wait for a good time. Although I'm so powerful, the lower realm simply cannot bear my full body. I don't know where the gluttony guy went. I need to grow up first, so that this body can bear me. Originally strength is enough. If you want to deal with my father. Ji-Fei sighed and said helplessly to himself, it's not that simple. The guys nowadays are all puppets who are stalking others. Who can help me? It seems that there are so many interesting guys who are low. Ji-Fei showed a special smile, as if he had set a big goal for a while. End of this chapter. Chapter 324 Ji-Fei and Yi Lanshan. 5. Get ready. Ji-Fei chose to put this matter aside for the time being, not because he doesn't care whether Yi Lanshan will die or whether he can replace God's punishment and become an immortal existence. The reason for all this is because his strength is too weak. Even if Ji-Fei is looking for the power that belonged to him, that was sealed at the beginning, it will not help. Such a weak reincarnated body cannot touch such power at all. If he touches that power, he will be the first to die. The strength of the division is extremely weak. Ji-Fei is not like Yi Lanshan. Although Yi Lanshan's power is not complete, but at least one part in a billion is retained. With such power, she can do many special things. For example, Yi Lanshan, the power of almost every soul skill he possesses now can be compared to those 89 soul skills of the so-called title Douluo. This is the special power of the goddess of life. And Ji-Fei didn't have any previous power attached to his reincarnation from the very beginning. He only relied on a special will. Now it is very good to have a crown of destruction. As for the chaos, it is just a special accident. According to Ji-Fei's judgment, if he wants to bear part of his previous power, even if it is 1 in a billion, he needs to raise his soul power level to above the level of title Douluo. And even so, Ji-Fei can't bear his own strength. The previous power, because this power is too powerful. When Ji-Fei and the others escaped from their god realm and came to this continent, Ji-Fei had already sealed his own power and only kept a part of it for his own use. With a little bit of power and the strength of his subordinates, Ji-Fei unified the entire planet and established the Hall of 7 Emotions in less than a day. But later, thinking of this, Ji-Fei felt that this was a shame, his own shame, and Kiking's shame at the same time. Kiking is the most powerful force under Ji-Fei. Everyone has a special power, which is the incomparably powerful power that Ji-Fei bestows on them, the power that surpasses gods. It's just that they all suffer divine punishment because of their father, so their strength was weakened without limit, and now they can only live on this continent forever. From a long time ago to the present, everyone has experienced a lot, gained a lot and lost a lot. Immortal Douluo is greed, and greed is a special god who controls the crime of greed. He can control the power of crime and punishment. And every piece of god realm must have a few special god positions. For example, the god of life controls the life and creation of all things in the world. There is also the god of destruction, who controls the power of absolute destruction, and can destroy everything. But he and the god of life can check and balance each other. The god of all things, for example, the god of the mountain, the god of the sea, the god of the sky, the god of the earth. Gods like this. Every world ruled by the god realm needs such gods to check and balance the balance of every world. Shame. Walking in the aisle, Ji-Fei recalled the specific reasons for his embarrassment back then, and it was all thanks to his father. That's really embarrassing to the extreme, and it's a shame. Forget it. It doesn't work if you think about it too far. Now the main thing is to quickly increase your soul power and cultivate the power that can be driven by me again. Think about whether to unify the entire continent first. This seems to be very convenient. As Ji-Fei walked, he thought about what he should do to get rid of the divine punishment, which belonged to his father and Yi Lanshan's mother. The easiest way is to ask his father to take back that sentence. Unfortunately, it is impossible. That is, him I dote on myself very much, but it is impossible to take back God's punishment. Release that clone. It is absolutely feasible to use the power of the clone to lift the divine punishment. Fei shook his head. The power of that avatar is too powerful, and he did not hesitate to sacrifice his own origin to seal it. If it is released in the current place, the entire continent and even the planet will be completely destroyed up. Thinking of this, Fei realized that he walked into the open room without knowing it. At this moment, Yi Lanshan and the others had already been waiting for Fei's arrival. Ziyu, Yan, and Zhu Jiangxing stood by the window, as if they were looking at the stars in the sky, and the three of them were relatively silent. And Yi Lanshan, Hu Rao, and Hu Lina were sitting there talking and laughing, and there was also Wen Li Raya. The three of them seemed to be asking about some things about Wen Li Raya. For example, Wen Li Raya, will she wear nice human clothes? If possible, she must dress up Li Raya well. Yo, Zio Fei, you are here. Ziyu greeted. Fei nodded. I'm here. I did fall asleep in a daze, but I was woken up by Lanshan. Okay, come to discuss tomorrow's soul fight? What are your plans? Yang waved his hand and said, Zio Fei, we all listen to you anyway, although this guy Ziyu wants us to discuss it together, but I don't think it makes much sense. As long as you are with Zio Fei, we can win casually, you say right? Fei shook his head with a smile, and then said to Yan, even I can't guarantee victory, but if you can ignore your opponent's life and death, it's quite easy to win. Did Teacher Immortal say that you must save your opponent's life? That's not the case. Teacher Undead only tells us not to lose, and the battle must be clean and tidy without any procrastination. There are no hard requirements for the rest. Fei nodded, and then said, then there is no problem at all. I can't guarantee that you will win the individual battle and the 2-person team battle, but I can guarantee that you will definitely win the 7-person team battle, as long as there is no limit, no matter who you meet. Zio Fei, why does it feel like you're a bit weird? Are you not sleepy? Even if you and 7th sister are very strong, it might not be easy for us to take care of us in team battles, right? Zhu Jiangxing probed asked sexually. Fei looked at Zhu Jiangxing and said, don't worry about it. Of course, I believe that we can win. No matter how cruel the opponent we encounter, we will not lose. Just like this, we will win all the way to the end. Ziyu looked at Fei in surprise. Just like what Zhu Jiangxing said, she always felt that Fei was a bit weird now. Could it be her own illusion? If she looked at Fei at this time, Ziyu would have the deja vu feeling of not being able to see a Douluo, and even a more special feeling that she couldn't explain clearly. End of this chapter. Chapter 325, Fei and Yi Lanshan. 6. In Ziyu's eyes, the original Fei was somewhat humble and would never express certainty about things like he is now. Naturally, Fei was able to understand the doubts in Ziyu's eyes in an instant, and it wasn't that he was too sure, but he was just stating a fact. Point: I must grow rapidly to obtain the strength to accommodate 1/1000th of my previous strength, and I must complete it within 20 years. Fei scratched his head and then smiled. I just want to tell everyone that no matter who we meet, we can't lose, right? Whether it's an individual battle or a team battle, isn't that what Master Immortal also stipulates for us? And since I can say such a thing, I believe that you also believe in myself. Maybe we have lost before, but we will never lose in the future. No matter what kind of opponent we meet, this fact will not have any meaning. Change. What do you say? Ziyu and the others nodded. Even they would not want to admit defeat. Even if they were suppressed by their opponents, they would feel a special sense of aggrieved. Don't worry, there will be absolutely no accidents with Lanshan and I in the team battle. Brother Ziyu, you can almost reach an invincible existence among soul masters of the same level, right? After listening to Fei's explanation, this is really the case. They are now considered to be the top of the 20th level soul masters. Even if they don't use any fighting skills between soul masters, they are absolutely unmatched. Moreover, after a careful analysis, their martial souls are not single, but comprehensive, and they don't feel restricted at all. I've got an idea. Yi Lanshan turned her head to look at Fei. tilted her head slightly, and asked, "What do you think?" Fei said, "We can consider that when Ziyu and the others participate in individual battles or team battles, you can only improve their level with soul skills before they appear on the stage, so that they can be sure of everything. How do you feel about this method?" Fei said that this method is actually just to add a safety lock. In fact, Ziyu and the others can upgrade their soul power to the top. The combat power they can have is not much different from what they think now. With the same soul skills, they are almost no opponent's kind. Let's forget Fei. We can do it. We can't rely on you and Seventh Sister for everything. No matter whether we are teaming up or fighting alone, we must use our own strength to defeat the enemy. This is our own fighting. Of course, as Fei said, we will never lose, and we cannot lose. Fei smiled slightly. It seems that these guys are still confident in their respective strengths, but they still need support when necessary. Since they want to cultivate a few forces that can be used by themselves, of course it starts with accumulating vigor. Only success can accumulate vigor, and failure will continuously reduce such vigor, and the power of sharpness is also very simple. It is a kind of momentum that can crush the opponent the moment it appears on the stage. Yi Lanshan also said at the side, "That's right. If I rely on my soul skills to upgrade everything, it will create a feeling of stagnation, and it will make the soul master feel that his strength does not match the soul power. So generally the improvement of soul power is kept within 10 minutes, although it can be improved for a long time. It also varies from person to person. In this case, you can arrange it yourself." Now we will mainly talk about team battles and individual battles. When we have team battles, Fei thought about it. Ziyu said before that Undead Douluo said that it is necessary to prepare a team name for team battles and the like. This is a proxy name. We must start from this show momentum. The name of the team of 7 of us in the team battle is Seven Suns. How about it? Ziyu smiled and then said, "Fei, have you forgotten? Teacher Undead has already finalized this name for us early in the morning. We all have nicknames." Yan raised his hand and said, "My pronoun is gluttony. Although I don't eat much, Teacher Undead said that I fit this pronoun. I represent the crime of lust." Hulina said, "I'm jealous, which represents jealousy among the 7 Suns." Zhu Jiangxing said, "I'm anger, which represents the anger among the 7 Suns." Huorao said, and Ziyu nodded, and then said to Fei, "I represent the sin of arrogance. Don't feel that I'm a little kind to you now. No matter how you say it, I can be regarded as a very arrogant person, so I like it very much. This pronoun." Of course Fei knew this. These pronouns all symbolized a kind of character of them, and they could be regarded as a kind of characteristic at the same time, but it is undeniable that they can well display their aura. "I'm greedy. I'm lazy." Fei murmured softly and tasted it. The name he decided on at the beginning is really pretty good. After giving it to them, it also bloomed their glory. A guy who made the name Dusty Point. These are the 7 sins, and even more the 7 emotions. When we fight alone, we will call each other by our respective pronouns. But how should we subdivide the team battle? We only have 7 people to say. Fei took a look. Well, it seems that there is no need to subdivide anything. Just say sorry to Ziyu. We are all very sorry for you. Ziyu seemed to understand and smoothed things out by herself. "I won't participate in team battles. I will only participate in individual battles and team battles. I'm not used to cooperating." It was originally the section of the 30th level Soul Master. Giant Crossing and Huo Rao are naturally the best team. After cooperating for so long, my martial soul is a bit special. If someone cooperates, it will be quite handicapped. Fei thought about it, but he originally wanted Yan and Ziyu to form a team. Hulina's words, "It's better not to participate in the 2-person team battle for the time being, because the control type Soul Masters are too slow." Even Fei himself would not choose to use the Izanami martial soul when the 2 teamed up to fight. Instead, he would choose some aggressive means to quickly resolve the battle point, and Fei's purpose for this is also very simple: to return to the Mizzen Grand Canyon to practice as soon as possible. Undead Douluo came to provide some help. But Fei still likes to enjoy fighting, enjoying the long lost thrill of fighting, using the power of a soul master to fight. It's nothing to lose in a team battle. Fei has 10,000 ways to win. The main ones are individual battles and 2-person team battles. End of this chapter. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.